It's time for Windows Weekly, a look back at Windows 11 in the year 2025. Inundated with new features. We'll cover them all. We'll also talk about AI, an exclusive interview, not ours, but an interview with the head of Microsoft's AI, revealed quite a bit. And Paul's Game of the Year. You won't believe it. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Tharada and Richard Campbell, episode 963, recorded Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. I've got an Apple guy. It's time for Windows Weekly. Why, hello, you winners and you dozers. Here we are. Our last show of 2025, Paul Thurrott, Richard Campbell. Actually, technically, it's the last show we're doing, right. But we did a show for Christmas Eve in which there was imbibing and storytelling and a fire, a roaring fire.
It was.
It was the cozy edition of Windows Weekly next week for Christmas Eve.
That was really fun.
It was. Thank you guys for doing that. Yeah. Richard, I see you've got the flannels on, which means you're back in British Columbia.
The first thing I grabbed, I've got to put it on. It's the last show of the year, so got to go with the Canadian tuxedo.
I could use that here. Can I wrap my feet in some of that? My feet are freezing.
Oh, yeah. No,
it's cold.
Proper. Yeah, it's been proper cold.
What does it say? Oh, no, it's actually up to 40.
It's cold.
It's been freezing this week.
Yeah. Very cold.
But, the ocean keeps it moderate, so it's near freezing, but not quite.
Yeah,
it's quite stormy around in the area.
Oh, stormy.
Yeah, we had a couple power blips and things. So.
Does it feel good to sleep in your own bed after all this?
Well, to be clear, the upstairs above us is totally gutted, right? They're redoing it all. So I'm sleeping.
So he's still not sleeping in his own bed.
The guest house. Yeah, the guest house.
But you're not in the boathouse. We thought you might be doing the show from the boathouse.
Yes, but the crew's not in this morning.
So. As recently as 10 minutes ago, Leo, he thought he might be in the boathouse.
I might have to run. Yeah, the truck
in America, we call
up.
it the doghouse. But okay.
Right.
So ironically, I've got somebody out my window working on our front door. So if you hear a lot of loud noise and buzzsaws, that's what that's all about. Turns out
that's what I figured my line would be, is if the tile guy showed up and needed to cut tile, then I'll run to the boathouse.
Yeah.
But if it's just the kitchen guys, they're just moving boxes around. Not a big deal.
Construction.
But it looks like they just came in and did some measuring, dropped some stuff off, and they're leaving again. So I'm glad.
Hey, I've been reading Paul's laptop reviews all year.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for, I wasn't going to buy a new laptop till next year when Apple's releasing its M6 Max with an OLED screen, because I really like it. I've decided I only want OLED screens from now on. I just love them.
Okay.
But then with RAM prices, through the roof, I thought maybe I should buy now or forever hold my peace.
I mean, the good news though is like GPU prices don't look as bad anymore.
I know. I don't really need a GPU because I got the desktop. Yeah. I mean, that's where I don't want a laptop with GPU, but I did want a decent laptop. And so I looked at all your reviews at the OLED choices, and I ended up getting this, which I'm very happy with. The X1 Carbon.
X1 Carbon, yeah.
Classic. Oh my gosh, it's like 2 pounds.
It's such a. I know it's gorgeous. It might be less than 2 pounds.
It is slightly less than 2 pounds. I don't understand how they get it so light. It's like there's nothing in here.
You feel like something's got to be wrong here, but they do a lot of they hollow out all the little bits they don't need, so it's got a kind of a webby frame to it or whatever. But
I'm thrilled, and the screen is gorgeous. It's not touch, which is okay by me. I don't want to get it all fingerprinty. And as you can see, the Windows login has changed quite a bit. Oh, wait a minute. That's not Windows.
You bastard.
First thing, I started updating. It comes with Windows. I started updating. An hour later, I said, what am I updating for? I'm going to wipe it off anyway. Yeah. So I just stopped. And
I'm feeling very smug about building my machines back in July.
You were good. How much RAM did you put in there?
Oh, 64, both.
Yeah.
So that would
be like a car payment.
I know. Yeah. This was about $2,000 for 32 gigs of RAM, which is enough for me on a laptop.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
It's a little scant on the storage. It's only 1 terabyte, but this is really. I know, isn't that funny? I love
where we've come. No, you know what though? I will say I've always kind of dialed in the minimum storage on phones, tablets, computers, whatever. But now that I'm playing video games on computers, I actually need like at least 1 terabyte. Like just Call of Duty by itself is half that storage.
Huge. Yeah. So I'm not going to,
Yep,
this is just an Emacs machine. So I don't really need a lot of storage or anything.
Mhm.
And at first I put, people are asking which Linux, and it was first CashFly with i3 Windows Manager. But it's a little bit a throwback to the old days where you have to do things like type Start X. And to map the keyboard, you have to.
Did it come on like floppies?
Yeah, it's a little.
It was like a Slackware floppy based distribution.
And the thing that was finally driving me crazy, I could not figure out, and I tried everything I saw online, how to make caps lock be control, because I hate caps lock, and I always want that. I hit that every time because that's where I think the control key is. So I ended up I thought, well, this is a good time to try Pop! OS. They just released the Cosmic Desktop final, first official version. So, and I'm quite liking it. And I still have, it's got tiling and all that. So,
but you kept Windows in like its own partition.
No,
something.
No, wipe the whole drive. No.
Okay.
What do I need Windows for?
Which is the title of this episode. Interestingly,
nice.
See, command line, baby, command line. But OLED with a black background in Emacs, man, that's crisp and sharp, and loving it. So anyway. But that's based on your review. You reviewed it way back at the beginning of the year. But
nothing you said is based on my review. So
not the Linux part, just the hardware part.
I don't recognize anything that I would have said in anything you just talked about.
Oh, you liked how light it was. You said it's well made. You liked the screen.
Yes. That machine perennial is just.
Yeah, I don't know there's been a bad carbon made.
It's funny because when I logged into the Lenovo website and it had my history, and I've purchased a few ThinkPads only ThinkPads.
Is that an Aura edition? I think, is that the only way you can get that now?
Yeah, it's Aura.
X1 Carbon,
what the hell is that?
So Aura is a partnership between Intel and Lenovo. So there used to be 4, but now there's only 3 kind of unique features that are, only on those computers.
That's why this Aura pamphlet is kind of thin.
Yeah, there's not much going on there. It's
that's it. Yeah. But it does have a Copilot key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which
everyone
will
loves that.
Be completely useless.
Yep.
You know what they do that's nice though? There's a little hint because it's got the Copilot logo and then a little menu key logo right below it.
Still says that.
Like
nice.
So
that was the old control, the right control,
key?
which was the menu key.
Used to be the menu key.
Yeah.
And then there's a fingerprint reader right next to that, which I don't know if I'll be able to get working on. I probably can, but I'll see.
Drivers.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's probably a Synaptic. I don't know. I'll have to look and see who makes it.
There's. I feel like it's not Synaptic, but maybe I'm wrong actually, because it's one of those match on print or whatever it is. It's like all the logic is inside.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah,
match on print.
And I like having a fingerprint reader. I really do, because then I don't have to log in and all that stuff. Anyway, I just thought I'd report in. Windows looked very nice on it as it was updating.
For the brief moment, it was. Yeah, no, that's nice.
I'm sorry, I'm an apostate in this show. I'm a heretic.
It's okay. Yeah, I like your kind of a level set. It's okay.
I apologize.
No, it's fine.
I apologize. I'm gonna bow out now and let you real users, you real computer guys, do the show.
Yeah, the real computers. Yeah. I mean, so we're hitting the end of the year, literally, right? So I think Leo said this up front. This is our final live show or show
streamed.
It's not really the final show, but the final one we're recording.
Final news show. The final one where you're not drunk.
Yeah, normal show. Oop. And let me get off of these white screens. Jeez Louise. So actually there wasn't much going on in Windows this week, but I thought, this is maybe the right time to think about, this past year and what of the 1,177 updates we got to Windows 11 this year, which originally I was going to say 5 and it was 10, and then I got to 12 or 13. I'm like, all right, I got to stop. I think I only got back to June or July, and I was like, it's just too much. But there's a lot of stuff, and some of this is just surface level kind of stuff, like the start menu, the dark mode stuff in File Explorer. But, actually going through this, I have to go through this again because I have to do my end of year recap stuff for the site, but it was a big year, really, even though, Windows 10 went out, obviously, but
I was still surprised by it. I thought they were going to push it back again.
Yeah.
It's just so many seats.
it's still supported technically, and we'll see. I don't know, but
maybe they wanted the $30 each.
25H2, not a big deal in the sense that it's identical to 24H2.
Well, it is now. I don't think they planned it that way, but that's the way it went down finally.
Well, I mean, it's the way it's been for a couple of years, right? Like every supported version of Windows 11 is basically identical from a feature standpoint. But in this case, the underlying part of the foundation or whatever you want to call it is the same as well, right? So it's not, this is about as minor of an update you can get year over year, but the number of like actual functional updates we got is pretty impressive. And actually, as I look at this list, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so here's the next episode of Hands on Windows, but I'll just show you this stuff. For here, I will say, looking at actual, like kind of the types of internal type features that I at one point had said, we don't really see this stuff in Windows anymore. We're starting to see more of, which I like. For example, the security features, that they often talk about at Ignite, like quick machine recovery and administrative protection, which is still half rolled out. And then there's a change coming to Smart App Control. I can't remember if we discussed this. It's not in the code live yet, but the way it works now is when you first install your computer, it's in kind of like a test mode. If it doesn't find any problems, it will enable itself. But more often than not, it just turns itself off. And once it turns itself off, or you turn it off, you can't re-enable it. So they're actually going to change that. And you'll be able to toggle this thing on and off like a normal feature, which is kind of cool. And then a lot of this stuff too is kind of the Copilot plus PC stuff, right? So click to do is a huge deal. The supporting external.
I was sure this would be the year that would have gone away, and it just everything's an AI PC.
Yeah, so this is on my list for questions about next year, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, there's this matrix of features, right? This is trying to understand what's going on with Windows 11. So in addition to, or just Windows, right? In addition to the differences you might see between, say, Home and Pro, and then Enterprise and whatever else, this has introduced this other sort of SKU as well. And confusing matters, every PC is an AI PC, sort of, and we have Copilot and other AI features that don't require an NPU or that Copilot plus PC spec. So, just keeping us on our toes, I guess, is the way to kind of say that. But Windows Studio Effects supports external and USB webcams now, which is new, and that's Copilot plus PC only because it requires the NPU. All Windows PCs do or will soon support external fingerprint readers as well with Windows Hello ESS. So it's the first time they've ever supported any hardware device or component.
And these are things that were supposed to be Copilot PC specific. Like when I think about making my workstation into a Copilot plus PC, I need to get one of those readers to be able to have ESS.
Yeah, if it's a desktop, for
that
sure.
That would be the path to recall, right?
Well, actually, yes. I don't see any reason why. Yes, that's true. Although technically, if you have a Copilot plus PC class CPU, you should still be able to get recall. You don't have to have Windows Hello ESS to get recall. It's just that it would be.
I thought that was one of the security requirements.
That's what I'm actually doubting myself as I say.
The bigger one here is, please let my giant GPU be treated as an NPU.
Yeah, that's not happening. But not yet anyway.
If they made me buy an NPU card to get that, I think I'd do it only on one of the machines because I think it's ridiculous, but I would do it.
You'd be easier or more likely to find a utility that would make a GPU look like an NPU and just enable this stuff. Like I don't understand how that.
No, there's no reason.
But
this should already have been resolved. Like I said, I figured this would have been done by now, but somehow they're dragging it out.
Yeah. I feel like there are forces at work here that are beyond our knowledge, that there's agreements with third parties, maybe companies like Qualcomm that might factor into. There's a lot of stuff going on here, but I agree. I'm kind of blown away that this stuff hasn't changed yet. All right, so click to do redesign start menu. That's big. Widgets, by the way, I suspect most people have not seen this yet. I'm going to look at this computer and see what this one has. This is still the old one. I've only seen this on one computer, but the new version of Widgets is actually quite attractive, and the display.
You're starting to like this.
No, well, the stories are all still garbage, but the default display is just the widgets, which I think is what most people imagine when they heard about something called widgets. And the Discover feed is on a secondary page and you can replace it. Not that there are other feeds, but I kind of like that they're separated. And because when I bring that thing up, it's like, I don't care about these stupid MSN news stories, which are terrible. The widget stuff is pretty good. So that's kind of cool. Again, but I've only seen it on a single computer so far. Copilot Vision, which I think is a big deal. I think any AI vision type thing is a big deal. It's a bigger deal on mobile when you think about it, because you can point your camera at anything. You're out in the world. It's pretty useful like that. But on Windows, you can use the camera with it, but it's mostly about what's on your screen, right? So this thing plus Click to Do, if you have a Copilot plus PC, are kind of central to the whole using AI to understand what's going on around you kind of thing, which I think is a big deal. The natural language stuff is a big deal. So you think about these are mostly Copilot plus PC experiences, other than the Copilot app itself, right? Which you could also use this way, where instead of clicking on things and doing exactly the right thing, you can just kind of talk to it, right? And so the agent and settings works this way, Copilot plus PC, the semantic search and Windows search, Copilot plus PC. But all your interactions just with Copilot, right? Works that way as well. So that's kind of cool. This has happened in 2 waves. Later in the show, we're going to talk about an Xbox update, but it actually impacts Windows. And Microsoft added Bluetooth LE support to Windows early in the year. I want to say mid-year, but now they're using it in the context of the Xbox stuff. We'll talk about that later. But aside from just discoverability stuff like improved audio quality for whatever, like for game chat, which would be the Xbox thing, but just for voice calls as well. So that's actually kind of a big deal. We're seeing that happening on mobile OSs as well. That's good stuff. To me, though, and this is, I guess, semi-controversial with some people, but the AI functionality that Microsoft has added to individual apps is often quite good, in my opinion. So all those AI functions in Paint, which will vary between a normal computer and a Copilot plus PC, meaning there's more on Copilot plus PC. Some of that stuff is really good. Generative fill, generative erase, object select, it's just very useful in that kind of creative environment. Photos, same thing. The restyle image stuff is really cool. Super resolution I use all the time. That's an awesome way to upsize any image. So if you have these old scans of old photos, maybe that are 320 by 240 or something, give this thing a whack, because it goes up pretty high and it works really well in my experience. So that's worth looking at. And then most controversial of all, of course, Notepad, right? And so this one's kind of confusing to me, because this one, they're actually going in the opposite direction, but most of the AI features in Notepad will work on any computer. So the writing help, the writing tools, whatever they're calling that, summarize, make it longer, make it shorter, turn it into a poem, whatever. That's all kind of cloud-based UI, but cloud-based AI. If you have a Copilot plus PC, you do have an option now to go in and say, actually, I want to do this stuff locally. It's not going to be as good, but it's going to be pretty good, and it works offline, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing. It'd be better if it just handled that automatically, but maybe it will someday. So that's pretty good. And then snipping tool, same thing. I mean, for me, because I need the mouse cursor in many of my screenshots, because I write books and for, site stuff, whatever, I can't use it, right? But other than that, it's super complete. And there's a bunch of AI functionality in there now, which is really useful, including things like Ask Copilot search, visual search of Bing integration, that aren't so much about capturing the screen, saving a file, which is the typical use of this, like you're taking a screenshot. A lot of this stuff now just works. You're not actually saving the thing. You're just doing something with it, and then you can move on from it. You don't have to save the file, right? And so it sounds non-intuitive, but that stuff actually works really well. So
yeah,
pretty good. So I'm going to hold it at that, because I could go on and on. But full screen experience, I should add that too. So that's in the process of rolling out. But if you have a handheld gaming PC, you're going to want this. But if you're gaming on a laptop or even a PC and you're using a controller, it may make sense to boot into this environment. Actually, even if you're not using a controller, right? Because it uses a lot less RAM, a lot less going on in the background. Again, they get higher frame rates, et cetera. It's a good thing to try. If you are using a controller, the thing that's fun about it is everything works with the controller. You don't actually, there's never really that point where you have to pick up the mouse to do anything. So that it seems like they've mostly solved that. So, that's pretty good.
It's cool.
Yeah. So that's most of the year. I don't know what I'm.
I was hoping it would take a little longer, but okay,
No.
good.
Sorry.
By the way, I did find I can get a 40 TOPS NPU in the M2 form factor for about $200.
Right. So if you did that, what happens though if you do that and then it doesn't enable anything?
Well, I presume it won't, right? Like it's
So
I mean, do you have to reinstall?
This is a coprocessor that goes in an M.2 slot?
Yeah, it goes in an M.2 slot. There's lots of different things you can get in M2 slots, right?
I guess M2 is really just PC. What is it, PCI Express? Or
it's PCIe. You're exactly right.
Exactly.
It's actually closer to the bus than the slots.
Yeah. So while we usually think of that as being where you put your storage.
It's mostly used for storage, but actually I think, isn't that the same slot they use for like Wi-Fi cards essentially? And the little
Wi-Fi cards there too.
So is the NPU coprocessor, is it a GPU? It's not a GPU. It's just
actually
it's
a
literally
dedicated NPU.
Huh. Who makes those?
There's a couple of them, but they're all using the same Kinara chip. So it's just a
Canaro. Okay.
Kinara is the folks.
Yeah. So maybe I
NVIDIA.
wonder. Yeah. So it's not any of, it's not the whatever the hexagon or whatever they call the.
Well, because normally they're SOC, right? They're all on the die with the GPU and the CPU.
Right.
So this
Yeah,
is
I didn't know you
separate.
could buy an NPU separately. That's very interesting.
Well, and they generally
should-
don't offer it because you need the right drivers and things like that, but it is a possibility, right?
Yeah.
AMD even threatened to make one on the regular PCIe slot, which wouldn't be hard. It's all the same form factor, essentially.
Why not just have a GPU that had both?
Yeah.
That'd be another way to do it.
NPUs and GPUs are,
Essentially the same.
they're related.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're both scalar processors.
right.
Yeah, but I'm related to my brother. We're not alike at all.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, your analogy is falling apart pretty quickly.
That's really interesting. So Canara, Canera?
Kinara.
Kinara.
Kinera.
Not like Kinsale.
But they don't sell it direct. You just
No.
and they're now owned by NXP. Apparently, they got bought. So this is probably a hot new category. I had no idea you could do this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's hot or new, but it's it's
new
a
to me.
category.
Yeah. Interesting.
The next question you have to ask is, what if I put in 2?
Yeah. And of course, PCI Express is not going to be as fast as it would be on the die.
On SOC, yeah. SOC is the ultimate, but M2s are pretty darn fast.
What's the matter? Oh.
Uh-oh.
Do you want? You know what? I'm going to do an ad while you clean up the mess you've made once again, Paul Thurrott.
What have I done?
Let's
My
break.
desk is going to be sticky now.
Sticky. What'd you spill? Pulque?
What do you call this?
Coca-Cola?
Kombucha.
Yum.
Oh,
It's
boy.
not going to be sticky. It's going to be
it's
fruity.
gonna-
And it's going to have good
sticky.
probiotics.
Yes. There's going to be a little lawn growing on here.
I want to show you this while you're cleaning up. I have something to talk about. Our sponsor for this segment. This looks like a nice picture hanging on the wall, right? Actually, I've got the stand on it. I'll take the stand off. But this is the new Aura Ink digital frame. No, that's not my mom. Although I'm sending mom one for Christmas. Our sponsor for this segment on Windows Weekly, you know the name Aura, I'm sure, but they consistently, year after year, have been picked as the best digital frames. But some people don't want another screen in the house. They really don't want another screen on the wall. That means you got to plug it in. It's a screen. It looks like a screen. I mean, we've got enough screens in our lives. Wouldn't it be nice if you could change the photos on your walls every day, but it's like a regular picture on the wall? That's the new Aura Ink. It is cordless. It is a color. I'm right now got a black and white photo. By the way, I wanted to show you because black and white looks great. This is an image I took of a character in town. This is their new cordless color e-paper frame, and the technology in this is mind-blowing. Meet Ink, Aura's first ever cordless color e-paper frame, featuring a sleek 0.6-inch profile and a softly lit 13.3-inch display. Ink feels like a print, functions like a digital frame, and perhaps most importantly, it lives completely untethered by cords. With a rechargeable battery that lasts up to 3 months on a single charge, unlimited storage, and the ability to invite others to add photos via the Aura Frames app. It's the cordless wall-hanging frame you've been waiting for. And the images just look great. Now, I have it set. You can have it change every 2 hours if you want. I change it overnight. So because I want to to enjoy the picture for 24 hours, like look at it on the wall. That's nice. I don't want to think of it as a digital frame. I want to think of it as a photo on my wall that just happens to change every day. And with that, I've got at least 3 months. I charged it when I first got it. I just charged it again last week. So it goes a long time. They put so much engineering into this. It's really a breakthrough in e-paper technology. Ink there's millions of tiny ink capsules in here, transforms them into your favorite photos, rendering them in kind of this beautiful vintage tones. They put a lot of thought into this. There's a lot of design innovation. The graphite-inspired bezel really looks like a real frame. The paper textured matting on this looks so good. It looks like a piece of decor, not a device. There's a more colorful photo so you can see. That's off the coast of Newport, Rhode Island. And unlimited free photos. You just download the app, connect it to Wi-Fi. So it's a great gift for grandma, somebody else in your family that you want to share pictures with. And they just added, it's not in the ad because they just added a new feature where you can text. You have to obviously authenticate, but once you authenticate, and you can send a link to people, other family members saying, hey, if you want to send images to my Aura ink, here's the link. And now you can use text messaging, which is great because how often, so for instance, what I'm going to do is load this up before I send it to grandma. I'm going to set it up load it up with pictures from, the family photo album, all those slides that we would only see once a year because they'd bring out the Kodak carousel and set up the screen. And then you don't see them again for another year. She loves this. She loves this because it's great to see those old pictures, right? And she knows everybody and it brings back memories. But now I can text. We're sitting around the tree opening presents, just text pictures of the grandkids to grandma and she'll get them right away. That's so cool. What a great gift for anyone, especially someone who's not a digital guru or somebody who just doesn't like screens. You don't want to add another screen to your life. You're adding a photo frame that just happens to change every night. It also has a really cleverly designed magnetic stand that just kind of clips in. It just clicks in and then stays in. And so you could put this on your desk anywhere. And then it can go either way. Again, it could be horizontal, the portrait, or it can be in landscape or in portrait mode, depending on what. And if you have a picture that is a landscape shot like this and you turn it on its side, it will automatically rotate, but then you'll have borders. So I keep it in landscape mode because most of my pictures are in landscape mode. Why have all the photos, all those great photos? I have 60,000 photos that no one ever sees because they're on the hard drive. Why have them stuck on the hard drive? Put them on the wall. Sleek, subtle, and stunning ink blends the warmth of a printed photo with the versatility of an e-paper frame and no cords, no fuss, just your memories. Beautifully displayed wherever you want them. Head to auraframes.com/ink to see for yourself. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. That's auraframes.com/ink. Act now. They're offering a limited time holiday discount. It ends soon though. So Aura, AURA frames.com/INK. I've been changing it for the show, but I really like the idea of changing it only overnight. So that way, every morning, it's kind of like, oh, what a nice picture. What fun. Really is a great gift. Grandma's going to love it. auraframes.com/ink. Thank you, Aura, for your support. Paul, I presume, has cleaned up the kombucha. There's kombucha all over the highway.
It's cleaned up as much as it can be cleaned up.
You didn't spill it in the computer.
No, it was all over the desk and my stapler and my tape.
That's the last thing you would want to do is spill a kombucha into a computer.
Kombucha explodes, like you pour it and it's like, whoop, it just bubbles out like a volcano.
Yeah, not good for the motherboard. I spilled coffee into a Mac laptop once. I brought it into the guy.
That could be the end of it.
The guy, it was the guy because it had cream and sugar. And the guy, I spilled it in there and immediately, of course, took it apart and tried to dry it out. Brought it into the guy. He said, You smelled coffee into it. Smelled coffee into it, didn't you? I said, yeah. He says, I smell it.
Yeah.
And he opened it up, and we looked at the motherboard, and it was like shorted all the way. He said,
jeez.
you're gonna have to replace the motherboard. There's no way I can fix this. And a new motherboard for a Mac laptop, you might as well just buy a new laptop, which I did.
Yeah, it's everything on.
I think it's true for everything. It'd probably be true for this Lenovo. Don't spill coffee or kombucha into
Not a good thing.
your devices. All right. So I've given Paul a little respite. He is refreshed. Did you get a new can of kombucha?
No, most of it's still in the glass. It's just that I overflowed.
Oh, you slopped it. Oh, that's
look, it's still, God, what a mess. This will be fine. It'll be
What
fine.
flavor are we having
I'm going to throw
today?
away this whole room. It's or mixed berry,
William.
sparkling fermented tea with probiotic.
Yeah, they call it
Probiotic
tea
filters.
if it's not alcoholic.
Okay.
Because normally kombucha is alcoholic. Because that's
Wait,
how
this
you
is
get.
an alcoholic? Hey,
Sorry,
It's like you were drinking it for the flavor.
I drink Health Aid, and they call it a probiotic tea because I think it's got trace alcohol. in it.
Yeah, which
Not
is
enough.
we don't have any.
I mean, come
we don't
on.
usually have juice. Like I kind of want something that's like cranberry juice would be good.
Ooh,
but-
yeah, festive for the
Cider
season.
would be fantastic.
Yes. We used to, you could go out to the orchards where you are, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We used to
Yep.
do that in the fall. It was so fun. We go out to Macintosh apples, which they don't put in stores because they don't wear very well. They get all.
I mean, we have an apple guy, Leo. I don't know.
You have an apple man.
But
I have a guy for that.
yeah, we have a guy.
But we would go and you get the apples. You can pick them yourself. You get them. They're delicious Macs and just perfect for the season. And then as you're leaving, you get a jug of apple cider, like a big jug.
Yeah.
And then sometimes
last time,
if you're crazy, you leave it. If you can't fit it in the fridge, you put it on the porch because it's freezing.
Yeah.
And it turns
Leave it in
into.
the trunk of the car.
We talked about this last week, and it turns into hard
Yeah,
apple
we
cider. So,
Talking about
icy
apple jacking.
wonderfulness.
yeah.
Taking the ice out.
Yeah, the one thing we never did when Richard was here that we talked about was like a mulled something, like a mulled
Yeah.
wine or
Ooh, it smells so good in the house too when you do that.
or like what do you call it? Like a butter? What is that thing? Like the hot buttered rum kind of
hot buttered
would have
rum,
been good.
Just get a big pot, put a bunch of apple cider in there, some cloves, some garlic,
Cinnamon,
a couple
orange
of
peel.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
Cardamom.
literally,
You kind of
we're
can't go
overdoing
wrong,
this
right?
because
Don't put garlic in it.
last week we were away, but the week before we go to the farmer's market. We see our apple guy, and we bought a bunch of apple cider. It's like my form of working out. I just carry giant jugs of apple cider around the farmer's
I think
market.
apple cider is
do
the
curls.
best thing in the world. Not apple.
But she's
juice.
like, "Are you sure we need this much?" I'm like, "I'm sure we need more than this much, but this is all I can carry."
Oh, God, now I have a craving for apple cider.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Legit.
All right.
So good.
It's also the one thing you can do, and I think I did this on the show, with apples that don't taste good, is they still make good cider.
Yeah.
Or make pies. I mean, tart apples make the best pies.
Yeah. But there's tart and
Bananas
there's
are
tart.
good for that too.
There's tart and then
banana
there's
bread.
quinces.
If your bananas are brown, just make banana bread.
Banana bread. You know what I do with bananas? I'm sorry. You want to talk about Windows? Never mind. What I won't tell you.
No, what are you
I do.
doing? Go ahead. What? No, I want to know what.
I let them get really brown.
Yeah.
On the outside.
You let them get brown, like a madman. Okay.
Well, Lisa, she won't eat a banana that has
Nope.
any spots at all,
Why
which
would
I think is
anyone?
crazy. They're not good until they're. You gotta have spots on them. That's when they're
Yeah.
sweet.
Mhm.
When it's flecked with brown and has a golden hue, bananas are the very, very best for you. I could
That's
sing a
it.
song, but I won't. Anyway, you open them up, you cut them up into little chunks, you put them in a Ziploc bag, you put them in the freezer, and you freeze them. And you do that until you have 4 or 5 bananas worth. Then you put them in the blender frozen, maybe put in a little bit of vanilla. If you want, you could put in some other fruit, but I don't. I just put in a dab of vanilla and maybe a little liquid if you need it. And you blend it, and it makes banana ice cream that's so good and so good for you because it's like eating a banana. It's not like eating ice cream, but it scratches that itch.
Well, now I'm sure I told the story that when it happened, but we were in Mexico last year sometime. I don't remember. We went to a little Abarote. It's one of those little corner stores, getting whatever, milk and whatever we get. We don't really cook at home or eat at home that much, but we're standing in line and I was like, I'd like to get a banana, but I don't want a bunch of bananas. I just want a banana.
A banana.
Do you think they would sell me a banana? And she's like, yeah, probably. So I didn't want to tear it off the little, the little bunch.
How do you say banana in Spanish?
I think this is banana.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
good.
Yeah, I'm actually
It
not
seems
sure.
like a Spanish word, but who
I
knows?
think it is. I think it's just banana or banana. Yeah, it's probably just the same word.
Añana.
Anyway,
Añana.
the old lady in front of us finally gets up to the counter, and I didn't hear what she said, but what I saw was the guy take the top of a thing of aspirin, take one aspirin out, and give her the aspirin. She paid for one aspirin. I looked at Stephanie. I was like, "Get a banana." I'm like, they're definitely going to be able to buy a banana.
One aspirin.
I just want one banana.
El
like
banano.
aspirin, aspirin, like what? Okay,
Banano.
That's how you say it.
Banano.
banano.
Or
Plátano.
platano, which is a
platano,
plantain.
Plantain.
But I bet the bananas in Mexico City are not like the bananas here. They're more.
They're often just plantains. Although, no, but the banana I was talking about in that store, that was just a banana. That was a normal banana, like as I know a banana. So it wasn't
it was a Cavendish.
A dole.
It's a dole.
Is that what it is?
It was a dole banana.
Is that where they are? Cavendish?
Cavendish, yes, which replaced the Gros Michel when the last blight went through, and now the blight's wiping out the Cavendish as well.
Yeah, because we have a monoculture of bananas.
Yes.
You need to have a
That's
variety.
what Big Banana wants you to think.
Big Banana wants a banana monoculture.
The banana bunch.
Ask your banana man about that. Let me tell you.
I don't have a banana man, sadly, but
try it.
maybe in Mexico I could have one. Not here.
You could try a red Daca. Like there's some pretty cool bananas.
Oh, there's so many better bananas than the dole.
All right, so we've lost 90% of our audience. Let's So over a year and a half ago, I went out to New York. I think it was early April, maybe late March. And this was going to be my first hands-on experience with Snapdragon X Elite. And, I was worried about it because they had announced this in October. I kept waiting for the other, every generation of this thing has been terrible. There's no way this is going to stand up to, what they were saying. And it was better than I thought, I walked away from this very excited. But one of the things I was really surprised by was we got to play games on this thing. And this was never going to be the thing. Like I never understood this. So Control, there was a racing game. I think Baldur's Gate was one of the games. And they all seemed to be working great. And I was like, okay, that's a surprise.
And
but
in emulation too, right?
They're right. That's what's amazing, right? And so when we got back, or rather when we got the actual Copilot Plus PCs, the first gen versions, the first wave of them, of course, installed a bunch of games. It doesn't work at all. It's terrible. So it's the one thing about Snapdragon X, which I had never expected it to work anyway, that was that most, to me, the kind of cardinal sin of technology, which is it's not consistent, right? Every once in a while you'd find a game that worked fine, but most games didn't. And even those that could work, you had to do a lot of work to make it work. And it was just too inconsistent, right? And so even though there were a handful of games that worked pretty well, I was like, okay, this is not, you're not going to buy it for this reason. And you're not going to also
mostly anti-cheat problems, right? It was AVX and stuff like that.
Well, that and, that's a big chunk of it for sure. But it's not just that. Although, maybe it's hard to say. I mean, at the time. So obviously there are these technologies built into Windows, auto super resolution, et cetera. We can run the game at a much lower res, kind of make up for the emulation hit, but it looks great to you. So even though it's running at 1366, it looks like it's running at 1920 maybe or something like that. That's the theory. But it was just such an inconsistent experience. Just not something I could recommend. And in my case personally, I have obviously these other computers floating around, so I can use other computers to play games. No big deal. And I don't, when I travel and stuff, the battery life and all the other good stuff about Snapdragon outweighs that. It's not a big deal. But there have been a lot of improvements since then, right? Qualcomm partnered with Epic Games to bring Fortnite to Windows 11 on ARM. Also, the anti-cheat stuff, right? Theirs is called Easy Anti-Cheat. And then there was additional work done on the Prism emulator by Microsoft. There's I think it's called AVX compatibility, which is one of those things that just brings in a whole class of games.
But you can see it coming at it from both sides, right? Like there is improve the emulator to tolerate more stuff. There's fix the underlying code so it doesn't conflict in the first place. There's ARM-based compilations and actually make it a native game.
This is the big thing, and that's going to be. I feel like Microsoft's going to have to make that part of what I'm going to call the Windows Xbox or Xbox P, whatever you want to call that, like the spec. Like if you're going to publish a game to this thing, you have to at least compile it for ARM or something. We'll see if they force it on people, but Later in the year, though, the Fortnite shipped, right, fairly recently. I guess it was Qualcomm came up with something called the Snapdragon Control Panel, which isn't as good as I thought it was, but the primary use case for this thing is to make sure you have the very latest GPU drivers and AVX support, which will help with the performance of games. You can also use it to tweak games, but it's manual. It's not like an automatic process. A lot of like AMD or NVIDIA software will see what the games that are in your computer and will like optimize them for whatever the graphics chipset is, and it's kind of a neat thing. We don't really have that in ARM yet. I'm hoping we will.
But it reminds me of all the shimming you could do for Windows compatibility back in the day too, right?
I think they're still doing it. I think honestly, it's probably the same technology. It's probably the same basic subsystem as doing it. But Microsoft also enabled people with Windows 11 on ARM PCs, Copilot Plus PCs, to have the full Xbox app experience, right? So the way that it worked until, 3-4 months ago was you only got the game. If you had at the time, Game Pass Ultimate subscription, you would see the games you could stream, and that was it. And they would work on anything, but you couldn't see anything else in your library. Now you can see the full library. And there again, I was hoping for something a little more automatic. Maybe there should be a button somewhere I can click and say, just show me the games that I know are going to work on this system. So maybe I have Game Pass, I get them through there. So I did something stupid, like I installed the latest Call of Duty at the time, and that took half the day. And guess what? It didn't work. It didn't even run.
And it was 500 gigs or 300
well,
gigs?
Now it is, yeah. So the base game is 300 gigs, and then it's about 500 if you install Modern Warfare 2 and 3. Yeah. Incredible.
Wow.
It's just incredible.
It's a lot of disk space.
Yeah, it's just astonishing. So I thought, I'm going to try this again. I've been talking about that Win 11 debloat software. I applied that to I reset my Surface laptop, did just a normal install, used Windows 11 debloat to literally clean it up, which worked great. Yep. Works fine in ARM. And I'm sitting there staring at this thing. It's got like a terabyte drive. It's got nothing on it. I'm like, I'm going to install some games. I'm going to see what's going on here and see if anything's changed. And from a high level, I will say it's still inconsistent. This is the problem. I wish that Snapdragon software or Windows itself or just the Xbox app, or whatever you want to say, would automatically optimize for these chips and just make it as good as it could be, right? Or at least give you a screen where you can, just something, but it's not automatic. You have to really play with it. And,
again, it reminds me of shims. Like you can't really have a plan on how to do this. You have to try stuff and see what happens.
Right. And unfortunately, because these things are games, sometimes those things take a while, right? You have to exit the game, run this utility, make a few settings changes or one, go back in, rerun the benchmark thing that might be in the game or whatever. Like I did this. I spent the better part of an entire day just doing what I just described. Fortnite, by the way, works great. Like it works great.
No problem.
Yeah. Just normal. It's great. I had never, I've played Fortnite, but just to kind of see it, I've actually been playing Fortnite. I think I mentioned this maybe last week. One time I actually came in third. It was the closest I've ever gotten still. One time I came in 18th, but I usually get wiped out pretty quick. But I kind of like it. It's cartoony, obviously, but whatever. But that works great. And it looks awesome on that screen. There's something about the screen. It must be HDR or whatever, but it's just gorgeous. Like it's super rich, contrasty, really nice. That works great. Control, which by the way, they just announced a sequel is coming soon. This was one I had tried that day in April or March, whenever that was, a year and a half ago. So I knew it worked. And it still works. Of course it does. Of course, now it's running on a Surface laptop full res. So it's like almost 2500 by 1650 ish, because it's 3x2 display. But 30 to 40 frames per second, depending. I, at some point, played with the resolution and tried to improve the frame rate and all that stuff. But it's a single player game. It works fine. It's nice looking, The beefiest game that I got to work well on this is that Callisto Protocol game.
Yeah.
This is a third person, I guess, adventure shooter kind of a thing. It's atmospheric, a lot of good sound effects, etc. I had tried this, I guess, last summer, a year ago, and it was unplayable. Basically, I think it was just bad. And when I ran the benchmarking on this, it said that it's running at like 18 frames per second. I'm like, okay, this is going to be garbage. But when I ran the game, and you can, leave the counter on the screen, it was like 30 to 35. And again, it's a single player game. So actually, It's pretty good. I suppose there could be like an action sequence where maybe it slows down a little bit, but it looks great. And this is the game where I noticed there's like an auto SR, which is the auto super resolution feature. There's actually a widget in the game bar now for this, so you can see if it's on or not. You can control it from there. That was actually pretty useful. And I bumped it down to 1920 by 1280, and I think it was in the 35 to 40 frames per second range. So honestly, it looks good and it runs well, and good. I had recently installed PUBG. This is a game I hadn't looked at in a long time, but if you are into this kind of thing, you know that it was out before Fortnite. A big thing, like battle royale games, huge. And then Fortnite happened, and it's not as huge. But I was looking, I don't remember where I came across it, but I saw some screens from this. I'm like, man, this is actually really good looking. It's like a realistic kind of Call of Duty looking thing. And I was like, it's not like cartoonish. It's not like Overwatch or Fortnite. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. So I played this on some of the Intel computers. It's fine. It does not work. It just doesn't work at all. It took whatever amount of time to install, but does not work. And so the final one, I already knew Call of Duty wasn't going to work. Mm-hmm. But I tried Battlefield 6. So I don't remember the size of this. That would be better?
It's huge
too. So Battlefield 6 is interesting because it's, competing with modern or with Call of Duty. It's better looking. Mm-hmm. If you play this thing, it's astonishing like how realistic the graphics are in multiplayer. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's beautiful. It's not really, I'm so used to the way Call of Duty plays. It's not exactly the same. And it's expensive. I bought it on sale, Steam, I think it was Steam, Steam. Yes. Like on Steam or maybe Epic, it doesn't matter, but they were having a sale and I was like, all right, I'll give this thing a shot. It does not run. So there's nothing I could do to make this thing run. It just didn't even come close. It never got off the desktop. So, if you kind of add that all up, it's like, I guess I'm shooting 3 for 5, but of the 3 that worked, I mean, honestly, they all kind of overperformed, if that makes sense. They look and play better than I thought they were going to. The games that didn't run, especially Battlefield 6, like that's no surprise. I mean, this thing is not designed for that. It's kind of a high end game, but so I would say the needle has moved. It's moved in the right direction, but it's still in the same general space, meaning it's just not. You don't buy this computer for this, right? Mm-hmm. If you have, although by the way, if you like Fortnite, that's an awesome experience. So if that's kind of your game and that's like all you care about, or you care about like maybe lower end games where it doesn't matter, honestly, it's pretty great. Like it looks gorgeous, but it's still a very kind of iffy experience.
It speaks to, as the ultimate solution here, just they have to make them native.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes, 100%. So,
because I think this is the direction Steam wants to go in anyway, right? Like,
right.
Steam's
so they want this thing to run natively, or to run, I should say, because they have their own. What's the thing they have on Steam is SteamOS
GameCube.
No, but the emulation thing that they have like a wine-based emulator that works great.
Well, it's called Proton. They have a new name for it, though. I can't remember. So there's something, I believe it's called FEX, which is doing this for ARM and for, this will bring it to Android. It will bring it to those, the glasses thing or the headset thing they just showed off. But it could benefit Windows on ARM as well, right? And so
let's face it, if Gabe decides you don't get to put me in the Steam store until you have
then it just
Windows
happens.
ARM, it's over. Yeah.
That's right. So that will be a good day, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is not something I wrote, and this is something I will again expand on at one point, but in keeping with our earlier little conversation about some of the better things that occurred to Windows this year, when you think about the next year, which isn't that far away suddenly, like what is it that's coming? Like what's the big deal? One of those items was that thing you brought up, which is like, we have AI PCs, we have Copilot Plus PCs. Like,
just stop. Just make it PCs.
The easiest way is the way that won't happen, which is just Intel, AMD, whomever, put NPUs in all of your chips. Just do the full, 40 plus.
And you said an NPU that fits into an M2, that's every desktop. Not that hard to put in.
Yeah, and actually, so that laptop that you have, I believe,
the Studio 2 Has an NPU in it, yeah.
I believe it has, but I believe it's an add-on. Like Microsoft put it in, but that is an add-on because that
and it's like a 26 tops one. It's under the Copilot.
I mean, it's pre Copilot Plus, but it's.
Yeah.
I think it's technically essentially like a desktop chipset, and it's like the one chipset that has like an add-in or did at the time. They don't need it anymore,
or it might be it's just an M2 slot or something like that.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know, but anyway, Microsoft did that, right? So you have if you were to open this thing up, I think you'd be able to see that because it's not integrated onto the chip.
Yeah.
But Microsoft did that to get the NPU in there. So okay, there's that. Oh no, I'm sorry, there's not that. So I should say one of the things thinking about this coming year is whether that will change, right? Will that brand kind of go away, or will they just keep going with it?
If
my nightmare scenario,
then everything's a Copilot Plus PC.
Well, right, but here's one little negative possible outcome. There's a Copilot Plus PC V2 spec that has an 80 tops NPU as a requirement or something, right? And then we have a further dividing of this market where. Now we have some things that only run if you have 40 more, but some only run if you have 80 or more. And
and again, if I can,
God help us,
there's 1,500 sitting in that 5080, right? Like,
I know. I'm just trying to, the way my brain works is I always go right to the worst possible scenario. So that's a possibility. I feel like it's less of a possibility now because it hasn't been super well received. So God help us if this thing had taken off in a meaningful way. We might be looking at this, right? This would be like, we're going to have PCs. We're going to have different levels of Copilot Plus PCs. Like, guys, please don't do this to us. But I just, again, want to throw that out as a possibility, but I don't think that's going to happen. We know 26H1 is coming. So, and this is going to be a lot like the 2024 mid-year Copilot Plus PC launch, where it's going to be for that Snapdragon chipset, in this case, the X2. Which is coming out in the first half of the year. And then there'll be a 26H2, I'm sure they'll call it, which will be for everybody. And there'll be additional stuff, but it'll be just like 2024 again.
Sure.
We know that agentic features are coming to Windows. Will they work? We'll see. I will say, as we talked last week a little bit, the agentic stuff is the 5G lie of AI. I mean, it's like the most exciting use case. It's the most interesting. It's the most far away from being reality. Like, it's so the delta between the marketing and the reality is in a different planet. Like, it's just off. So we'll see. It's going to have to work. Well, I guess it doesn't have to work, but it will probably work at some point. But will next year be the year for Windows? We'll see.
Yeah.
And then just because
we've got Pavan 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago. Now he's unified the teams. It's just a question of how long it takes to get everybody aligned and actually push out a version. And the pressure is high. They have to do something in the AI space. Like, they've got to go.
Yep.
I can't see how you get through 26 without a Windows 12, an AI center.
And that's the big one. Although I feel like it's possible we've been talking about that for 2 years. I don't remember. I'm not good at that, but it's at least a year and a half, but it might be close to 2. But now the 10's gone, essentially. Windows 11, that first version came out in 2021, right? Mid 2021. So we're actually only 4.5 years into this. So I don't know. We'll see.
Remember when they used to put out an OS every other year? Crazy time.
They used to put out an OS every 6 months. I mean, technically, right? Depending on how you want to measure it. But
the Windows 10 Twitch doesn't count. That was a particular moment of crazy.
Every generation of Windows since 8 on has had its own little, well, even Vista, I guess, it had its own little special brand of crazy. But I don't know. I feel like, honestly, despite all of the controversy in our little world, right? This is not a controversy out in the world, no. But in our little world around the agentic stuff in Windows, and nobody asked for this and all that. Nobody wants this, all that kind of stuff. This is in many ways the least controversial of the controversies that have occurred over the years, as far as, how it's going to impact people, plus or minus, or pro or con or whatever. And maybe this should have been on my list of things for, that were good this year. One of the good things is they finally woke up to opt in,
right,
off by default, opt-in. Yes, this is the way many features should be. Anything's arguable, but inarguably, in my mind, this is the way all these big AI features should be. You can be told about it. You pick it. If you pick no, it leaves you alone, right? Mm-hmm. Microsoft's not good at that. So
no,
it seems like they
really want that feature out there, and they feel like they own your operating system.
Yeah, and I see their point of view, to a small degree, because remember back in the day, so to speak, when you think about Office turning into a bundle and then a suite where you had these individual apps and whatever, and then it became there were Office servers, right, back when we still had a lot of on-prem infrastructure, but eventually that goes to Office and then Microsoft 365. And one of the benefits of these things is that once you know that the user is always going to have access to every one of the things that we make, it makes it easier to make all those things work better together, because otherwise you're doing a lot of if then else's, right? Like, oh, so you have Word, great. Do you have Excel? No. Oh, then you can't do this thing I was going to tell you about. Like, it's when you have it all, and look, there's anti-competitive aspects of this. I understand that, but one of the little benefits is if you have everything, it's easier for the developer, Microsoft in this case, to enhance all of them together, right? Sure. You don't have to worry about whether or not they have parts of it, little, parts. And so,
the thing is, the AI stuff not going to build for a Copilot PC when there's just few machines around. Like, it's just
right. So you can kind of see the problem, right? And so, when I agree, for example, that recall should be off by default. They can promote it, and they do. And you should decide whether or not you want to use this feature, and then apply that to whatever else. The problem is, at some point, if this is a system level feature and you as a developer, maybe you're going to support this app for whatever reason. If you have a subset of the audience that could even get it, and now you have a subset of that audience that enabled it. And so why bother? And that's the other side of that coin, right? Because there's two sides to this. So it's like the right thing for the consumer, for the user. It's not Microsoft's strong suit, but they were kind of forced into it. Good. But it also cuts their ability to kind of make this thing work better with other stuff. Right. So, whatever. It's still the right choice, but just want to be cognizant of that. All right. And that's all I got, because literally there was no news. We had one build all week, and it was a Canary build that just added features we've already talked about that are in other places. So nothing exciting.
We can talk about bananas some more, or apples, if you want to look at the little fruit kind of conversation.
I do know the name for apple in Spanish. Banana, that one surprise. That's plenty. Yeah, plenty.
Or banana. El banana.
Yeah.
What is apple?
It would be manzana.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's kind of unpredictable.
Yeah, but that's just it's one of those Spanish 101 type terms. Like you'll get it. You'll get it the first week.
Yeah.
What's my name? Do you like apples? Yep. How do you like them apples?
Sugar bee. It's my sugar bee. There's so many apple varieties. I think Richard's got to do an apple talk. You actually have been doing a little one in Discord.
If you're going to do that, you should talk to our Apple guy, because he has this giant truck with all these bins. And depending on the time of year,
Is there a special song?
Yeah, no, he'll literally say, like, my wife's picking through, and he'll say something like, "What are you going to do with those apples?" And then she's like, "I'm going to make a pie." And he's like, "Oh, you might want to try
the
whatever."
The Gravensteins.
I've already fallen asleep. I got this far into the conversation. I've already I'm looking, somewhere else. But he really likes the apples,
All right, break time then, and then we will talk about AI.
I'll just spill my drink again, and we can get going.
Paul will spill a drink
in the rhythm.
We do have Xbox news. We do have tips and apps, and we even have a dark beverage, which looks kind of interesting.
Dark beverage, yeah.
There it is.
I'm very interested in this.
All the way from Tasmania.
Yay!
The other devil.
Tasmania, the island is divided into north and south, and in the north, they drink one kind of beer. In the south, they drink the other kind of beer. It's not a big island.
They drink the blood of those who live in the north.
Yeah, but they definitely have a beer rivalry going on, which I thought was kind of interesting.
It's good barley country down there.
Under no circumstances will they drink Foster's. I just
no,
don't even bring it up.
Not even Australian.
It's Australian for beer.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. Our show today brought to you by Framer. We're a little punchy, aren't we? Because it's the holidays, I think. Yeah. Framer is you probably know Framer as a web design tool, but you know what? It's so much more now. If you're still jumping between tools just to update your website, you got to know about Framer. Framer unifies design, CMS, and publishing on a single canvas, which is nice. It means no handoff, no export import, no hassle, everything you need to design and publish in one place. I know you know Framer already built the fastest way to publish beautiful production-ready websites. Now Framer's redefining how we design for the web with the recent launch of Design Pages, a free canvas-based design tool. Framer is more than just a site builder. It's a true all-in-one design platform. From social assets to campaign visuals to vectors and icons, all the way to a live site, Framer is where ideas go live, start to finish. And here's the best part. You can use Framer free. It's free. And I'm not talking like really limited thing. It's a full-featured design tool. Unlimited projects, free. Unlimited pages, free. Unlimited collaborators, free. All the essentials you need, vectors, 3D transforms, gradients, and wireframes. Everything you need to design, totally free. Framer is your entire workflow in one place. No Figma imports, no messy HTML. It's faster, it's cleaner, it's more efficient. It works the way you do. Okay? And you can do more than design, just design websites. I mean, it's great for that. But also, Framer lets you create social assets and campaign visuals. You can do icons. You can do all your site resources, all without leaving the tool. No switching back and forth. And did I mention it's free? Now, there's a pro version, too. I'll tell you how you can save on that in a minute. Framer stands above the others because it's not just a site builder. Framer is a true design tool that also just happens to publish professional, production-ready sites. Ready to design, iterate, and publish all in one tool. Start creating for free at framer.com/design. And use the code WW for a free month of Framer Pro. That's framer.com/design. Use the promo code WW at framer.com/design. Promo code WW. Rules and restrictions may apply. We thank him so much for supporting Windows Weekly. And Paul and... Are you tired? Are you tired, Richard Campbell? What's going on there? What's going on? Are you?
That's my normal posture, by the way.
Battling the dog. Actually.
Oh, there was an animal we didn't see in the picture.
Yeah,
I thought you were just
down below. No, so I was leaning in on the dog.
Oh, sweetie. What kind of dog do you have?
It's a little. It's a poodle cross.
Oh, poodles make very good crossbreeds.
She's a sweetheart. Yeah. She's a real, but not my idea. I didn't want a dog, but I was outnumbered 1-to-1. So.
Yeah, I lose those fights too.
Yeah. I'm liking our cat. I feel like a cat's pretty easy.
Yeah,
I was a dog guy, and I brought a dog into
I like both
family, but I love dogs. But they're a lot of work.
Wouldn't keep cat up here with the coyotes around.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit too hazardous. Actually, I'm afraid for her too. She's not big enough to deal with the coyotes.
Something that could defend itself.
You're carried away by an eagle or something.
We got one shot. You should have gone up a tree, and if you didn't, it's too late.
Yeah.
So let's talk about AI, shall we?
Yeah. I mentioned before that I'm a fan of sorts, I guess, as much as I can be, of Mustafa Suleyman, right? It's the guy who runs, he came from, what was the guy who almost said Inception? Inflection, right? So, and DeepMind before that. Acqui-hired by Microsoft to start.
He was
Microsoft
one of the
AI.
founders of DeepMind, wasn't he? I think he was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's him and Dennis.
Yeah.
There's a great interview with him in Bloomberg, really long one. And in fact, there's a podcast version. I think that one is even longer. It's actually pretty amazing. One of the things I like about this guy, and it occurred to me as I just started writing this, that he reminds me very much of Phil Spencer, right? So that guy runs Xbox. super plain spoken, and he'll just blurt out the truth all the time. Like he can't help himself. Like I love people like this, Mustafa Suleyman is probably a lot smarter. He's probably one of those kind of genius types or whatever. But
point out, this guy's already sold through 2 different AI companies where everybody else is still trying to get one. DeepMind got acquired by Google, and Inflection got acquired as well. Like clearly, he's doing something right.
He's doing something right, but more importantly, because most of these people are like these kind of cold, dangerous seeming robot types. He comes across as a real human being, and this is the big thing for me. Like he's well spoken, but he's also kind of plain spoken and just honest. And I like that. So I'm not going to go through this whole interview. It's long. If you're interested in this topic at all, you should just go listen to or read it. But one of the first things they asked was about this agentic thing, and I've kind of I just made my case a little while ago. This is the furthest away from this. His description of this is so far from the Microsoft marketing, it's almost hilarious. So literally, the first thing he says is, "Yeah, it's not there yet." It's like he says, "We're still experimenting with that. It can do it. It doesn't always get it right. It's in dev mode," is the way he'd called it. It's not generally available yet. When it does work, it's the most magical thing you've ever seen. When it doesn't work, you just bought something you didn't want, and it's like, nice. So, and he explains why it's going to be okay, and the little protections built in and so forth. So I like that. That was the first thing. I was like, okay, nice. This is kind of, there's obviously the artificial general intelligence goal that, OpenAI has. He prefers something called, I think it's like superhuman intelligence, I guess, or even super intelligence. But the idea is that the human part of this is important, that this thing should exist only to serve humans. It's not something to replace humans. This is that kind of Copilot type thinking or whatever, right? That literally it's your Copilot, not its Copilot. Yeah. He also makes the case, because this is argument that AI is moving so quickly and it's crazy, and it is. But he says, he's like, Microsoft has been around for 50 years. We're careful. 90% of the S&P 500 uses us for email, OSs, everyday productivity. We can't.
I'm pushing on back on the moving fast thing too, because it isn't actually moving all that fast, but everybody's very interested in making people believe it is.
So we're gonna get to this. I'm kind of, this is fascinating to me in a way. I guess the difference between, a difference between AI and what came before AI. So by which I mean OS and productivity app features, right? Spell checking, grammar checking, etc. These things were not in the news, Yeah. So if Microsoft added like 18 new features to Microsoft 365 one month, it wasn't on CNN. Yeah. No one was talking about it, right? It was just part of our little world. Right now, this is a big deal because it's crossing that kind of business/consumer divide. It's big with consumers. There's so much money involved, and a lot of
that's the bigger issue. Is there's way too much money involved.
There's a lot of drama, He talks about that, right? And he is a little more, I'm going to use the word sanguine than I am.
Yeah.
Sanguine. Thank you. I can write, but I can't speak. But he also says, look, the clock's ticking on this. Like, we need to watch this. He's pro-regulation, which I love. He's like, there's a lot of money that have been promised in multiple directions. But he also said, he says, look, it costs 90% less today to ask a question of the best AI models in the world compared to 2 years ago. So that's interesting. Now, it's still astronomical. That's like saying you could have bought a Lamborghini, but now you have to settle on a Ferrari or whatever. It's expensive. But that's an interesting perspective, which I kind of like. He talks honestly about where Copilot is compared to, say, Gemini 3 and ChatGPT, although this is before the GPT 5.2 stuff.
Is Copilot still using OpenAI's models, or is it all Microsoft
Mostly,
models?
Yeah. So
there's choose.
Yeah, they're starting to enable this.
Oh, okay. So you choose the model when you use Copilot. What's the default?
Well, not typically, but that's where it's going, right? In other words, if you think about how GitHub Copilot works, how a lot of these AIs work, you either get a picker or ideally what it would really do is just use the best one every time. I think that's going to be the general approach.
Best is a funny concept, right? Like,
but he just says, look, he's like, Gemini 3 is great, but it has some niche skills that ChatGPT doesn't have, thus Copilot doesn't have. It's very fast. But he also says, Copilot has features that Gemini 3 doesn't have too. And he goes through, he's like, we're really good at vision, the thing I mentioned up top. So, okay. It's whatever. Like I said, I like that he's pro-regulation, talks about job loss. I had written, the article that I wrote about this, I kind of mentioned, this kind of overblown fear that AI is stealing jobs. And of course, you can't say or write anything online without someone coming back and saying, you're wrong, you're an idiot, here's why. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know, maybe that's my experience. But the original wrong again, monkey boy kind of a thing. Like I made a joke about deep bone, or I called it deep bone thrombosis at the time. And someone wrote me and said, that's not funny. I know someone who died of that. And I said, well, then we can't have humor because that would be true of anything, I guess, right? I mean, everything I do will offend somebody, so whatever. But I had written that, the AI job loss thing, I think is kind of like not FUD, but it's like it's like a sowing fear kind of a thing,
Yeah, well, and it comes straight out of science fiction too.
Yeah, I think people are picturing robots like literally doing their job at a desk. Like you come in one day and there's a white shiny robot, and there's like, you're not necessary anymore, Paul. We get this other guy that does this now. So anyway, so someone wrote in and said, well, that's not true. I said, I work at this company and they fired 3 developers. And they said the reason they did it was because AI could do their job. And I said, that was your boss making a horrible decision. That was not AI stealing a job. That was someone just being an idiot or being malicious, and they were going to fire them anyway and just using that as an excuse, which is the other thing we're going to see a lot of.
Which we often do. And there's been plenty of those. There's also been mass hirebacks when it didn't work out that well.
Yeah. And so you guys can all welcome or have your happy future where you're not actually an employee of that company anymore, but you're a really high paid external consultant or whatever, right? So, that's the one possibility. But anyway, I don't want to go through every single thing he said, but here anyway, but I wrote a longer piece about this from my site, but go back and read the original or listen to it on a podcast. It's a Bloomberg thing. He's an interesting guy. He might be one of the few good human beings in this part of the world, so to speak. The other one was that woman who used to be the CTO of OpenAI who left and formed her own company. What is her name? Thinking Machines. Mira Murati.
Yeah.
She's another one. She comes off as like a human, I don't see enough.
I don't know why that seems to be such an anomaly, but yeah. The bigger, the bigger weirdo factor is billionaire.
Yeah, it's right. So AI is the perfect nexus of terrible. It's like billionaires, the smartest people on earth who are usually really socially awkward or just which is that inhuman thing. Like when Sam Altman is up there with his stupid, I am a human, I have a love interest. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
But
You're a robot.
but Altman, Zuckerberg, Musk, they're all pretty strange, and they're all billionaires. I've met a few, every one of them weird. Where scientists can be awkward, but often are, pretty straight up. Get it. They speak in a different language, but they're not that odd.
Yeah, it's like autism 4K. It's like the more advanced version. It's just, I don't know. That's who this part of the world's going to attract.
I think if we had fewer billionaire spokespeople, we'd be better off.
We'd probably be better off if we had fewer billionaires.
Well, that's not. I'm not going to argue with that either.
As well, which, by the way, is one of the things he talks about as well. Universal income, is something. The Star Trek future where it's like, but what about the jobs? I'm like, work is called work for a reason. It's something people don't like for the most part. I mean, I don't know what we're worried about exactly, but anyway, we talked about this last week, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Microsoft Copilot, this news this week is hilarious and perfect. Apparently, if you own a certain newer LG smart TVs, you woke up one day and there was a Copilot app on your, whatever the home screen thing is at the bottom there.
So annoying.
Didn't we just talk about having the option? Oh my God.
They can't put a Copilot key on your remote. So what they thought they would do is gouge a hole in the middle of the screen instead.
Yeah. And
that's what they're doing. So that's too bad. The good news is I know someone who has one of these TVs and he's like, it's just a just goes to the web. It's like basically like a web page. It's like there's nothing to it. It doesn't do anything.
It's not a thing.
But it is sitting there like a wart, that you want to just dig out of there, but you can't. So hopefully there'll be enough.
So it's occupying screen space. It only just goes to the web, and it doesn't really do anything. So when
you're taking up space, you're useless, and now you're in the way. So you're perfect. It's perfect.
Really, it's just an anti-branding exercise. We haven't felt enough hate lately, so let's throw an icon on your TV against your will so you can hate us some more.
For all you foolish but well-meaning people who bought a smart TV and then decided to sign into whatever stupid account that company has, congratulations.
I have a smart TV, and I configured my Pi hole to block its ability to call home.
Yes, this is one of the smartest uses for that kind of thing.
Totally.
I know I'm going to just sound like an old guy, but I just want a screen. I'm old enough that I remember when you had a screen and you pressed the power button and the screen just came on. It didn't have to go through a boot process. There weren't, it wasn't like a little
crazy
OS.
Talk, Mr. Thurrott, honestly.
Just a screen, like a dumb screen. It's like the Leo's really laptop. He said, it doesn't have touch. I'm like, right. It's a laptop.
Yeah, the moment we had an Ethernet port on the screen, you had concerns, right? Like this.
I think, there's a big kerfuffle now because Firefox is adding AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think companies have got to start realizing just sprinkling things with AI is not making many of your customers happy.
We're actually going to talk about this because this is the right way to roll out AI functionality. There's no one answer, but there are different approaches. And I'm going to talk about one that I think actually is in our space. I think is like the right way to do it.
But you'd agree stuffing it on your smart TV?
No, Microsoft stuffed it into Windows 11 and then moved it 8 times. Then rewrote the app 2 more times,
made it bounce a couple of ways.
It's
the thing was to put it into the App Store, and if people want it, they could install it. It's not that hard to not
that if
be
you
evil.
did that, no one would. Well,
of course they wouldn't because it's terrible. But that's the whole point, right? Like you should be good enough for people to select you, and if you're not, you get what you deserve.
So that type of thing only happens when you have an actual fair market with competition, and regulation to keep the bad behaviors in check. And Microsoft does not exist in those worlds. So it's this is a be true to yourself thing. Inevitably, pretty much, any company with enough power and market size is just going to start squeezing the vice. It's just the way this has always happened. This is why we have regulations. It's why antitrust exists.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such
negative
thing
option billing, right? Where you have where prices are going to go up unless you call us and tell us not to do it to you. It's just not right. This is what regulation is all about.
I know. I don't see this as much anymore, but a couple of years ago, every time I wrote whatever article about whatever it was, some government, something, it's always like, we don't want governments designing user interfaces. It's like, that's not really what's happening. But then again, now we have like Google Quick Share can share to AirDrop. It's like, maybe this isn't such a bad idea, So I don't know. There are good examples in both directions, obviously. Bunch of open AI stuff in the past week. I've only written about a few of these things, but they did come out with their response to Gemini 3, which is GPT 5.2. They came out with their response to Nano Banana Pro. I think just yesterday they announced there's a new feature of ChatGPT called Images, what's in the sidebar, and it's an Images experience, and it looks pretty great, by the way.
So the code red response, right? Altman freaked out.
And then my personal favorite, because I always like the kind of Godzilla versus King Kong thing. Disney invested $1 billion in OpenAI. There's more going on here we're not 100% sure about, but part of this deal is people using ChatGPT can use Disney characters and when they're making images and stuff. This was something that was illegal before. 2 seconds after announcing this, Disney sued Google for doing exactly what I just said, because you can go to Gemini or Nano Banana Pro, whatever, and say, I would like something that looks like Mickey Mouse, but it's me and it's a Christmas thing or whatever, and it would make a Mickey Mouse thing, which is technically not supposed to be allowed. Well, Mickey Mouse actually, is that?
No, some Mickey Mouses are. Some Mickey Mouses are.
Okay. But you get the idea. There are hundreds and hundreds of Disney characters. This is, they're the Nintendo of entertainment
Disney's
or video or whatever.
Smart to make the deal while this stuff is still in copyright.
Yeah. Yeah.
All they got was stock. I guess, though, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure I'd want OpenAI stock right now.
It's a bet. know, I mean,
better
spin the wheel. We're going to see. One of those things is $1 million or whatever,
I guess
the others are, you're doing bet, but that was a part of that Suleiman interview. He was asked, this person only did this 3 times, but said, I'm going to give you the names of people in this industry, because he knows it, they all know each other, right? It's like, just say what the word or phrase that comes immediately to mind, right? Dennis Hassabis, the guy who co-founded DeepMind, great scientist, exceptional, right? Mm-hmm. Elon Musk is a bulldozer. And then Sam Altman, he says courageous, but then he says what in written is like a paragraph of text, but he really qualifies everything he says about this guy. It's like, he may well turn out to be one of the great entrepreneurs of our generation. Mm-hmm. If he can pull it off, it will be pretty dramatic, which is not quite damning with faint praise, but you really...
a lot of qualifiers.
Yeah. Yep. So, but there you go. That, again,
it's
like
accurate, actually, though.
That's my point. Like, this guy's honest, and this is an example of that. This is one of Microsoft's biggest partners, whatever. And he's like, we'll see. And also, I'm writing the software I'm working on will replace everything they're doing. So there's that, kind of thing. Okay.
Are they still friendly partners?
I don't know that they were ever friendly. I mean, they must have been in the beginning, I guess, when they were. So one of the things that
was it just
I'm going to read this entire interview, because literally he touches on every one of these topics. So there, I should have said this. Actually, this is one of the more important bits to this. There's a part, I guess, I didn't know, or I didn't explicitly know. Maybe I'll say this and you will both say, no, this was obvious. I didn't, but to me, this was not obvious. So Microsoft invested in OpenAI. It went up to about $11 billion. Part of this partnership, which was mostly very secret, was that OpenAI had to do everything through Microsoft infrastructure. And Microsoft got everything they made, everything, right? And they own some percentage. We don't know, but there was, the theory is it might have been 30, 33%, whatever. But there have been 2 major changes to that relationship in the past year. One was earlier in the year when they restructured their partnership, which allowed OpenAI to seek other cloud infrastructures if Microsoft was asked first and said no. And now they've partnered literally with every player in the industry, including some I've never heard of, right? So they wanted way more compute, I guess, than Microsoft was willing to provide. Then in October, OpenAI restructured, so they have a for-profit company that's owned by a nonprofit company, kind of like Mozilla. Microsoft owns 27%. I'm like, okay. But then the way he describes it, because he's working on this thing that will replace what OpenAI is doing. He doesn't really talk about that too much. I mean, which makes sense, but that's essentially what he's doing. And he described some bits of this partnership I didn't know was the case. So until OpenAI restructured, and they restructured their partnership yet again, Microsoft was not allowed by contract to pursue AGI or superintelligence independently. The deal was OpenAI would do that. Microsoft would get it, and they would have this infrastructure, the hardware. And Microsoft could just do what they were doing. But part of that new agreement was, okay, you couldn't get infrastructure somewhere else, but we're going to do our own thing too. And that was, part of it. I thought that was kind of interesting. So whatever happens as of today, Microsoft still has a license to every single thing that OpenAI makes through 2032. So whatever they come out with, GPT 5.2, like I said, a day later, Microsoft said, hey, this is in Microsoft 365 Copilot. It's in Copilot. They get everything, right? And so there's no 6 months or year. They don't get it. They get it immediately. They own it, or they own the right to it. They license it. They have that license. So interesting. I didn't know that Microsoft was prevented from pursuing this stuff independently. So that was new to me, but maybe that was common. Maybe that was common knowledge. I don't know. Oh, yes. So just because we've talked about it, Opera Neon, which is their agentic browser, is now sort of generally available. I think there might still be a wait list, but I think anyone can get it. It is $20 a month. So you either want this or you don't. It's like Comet. Well, no, it's not like Comet, because it's literally, I think you can only use it if you pay. So, it's like Comet, but you still have to pay, I guess is the way to say it. And then because you guys like somehow like talked into this early somehow, Google announced something yesterday, which is basically like that Outlook. You open Outlook and it's like, here's your day, here are your meetings, here's what's going on, whatever. But for Gmail, it's not built into Gmail. They're doing it as a Google Labs experiment. It's called CC, like CC, BCC, like for email. And the email it produces looks really cool. You can totally customize it. You interact with the natural language. You can email the thing back or just email it and suggest changes or say, I want this, but I don't want this, or I want this, whatever it is. And it's just like a little, here's your day thing. And that's neat. And I was thinking, they have all these things that people largely have not heard of, like Mixboard, right? Or Notebook LM, which somehow has gotten pretty popular. But these are like things that Microsoft would just put into what they had typically. Like, in other words, if Microsoft was going to do something like Notebook LM, which actually they have, they would build it into something they already have. In this case, they built it into Copilot, but you could imagine them building it into, say, like OneNote or maybe even Loop if they were going to keep going with that. So Google has this kind of, obviously Google does AI and they have AI everywhere, but they also, you can kind of tell with these things, it's like, okay, we think this is going to be a good idea. The CC thing will absolutely be a feature of Gmail. It's just obvious. But we're going to experiment with it first, And it made me think, like, with all the forced Copilot usage and all the changing of UIs and all the stuff Microsoft's been doing, it's like, maybe this is a better way to roll out AI, right? Somehow I think both of you at one part or another on the show said something like, you should be able to go to that thing and get it if you want it, but you should never be bothered by it if you don't want it. And it's like, Yep. And that's what this stuff is, right? Like, I don't even know how you'd find out about this stuff. Like Google just does these things. They're experimenting. Like I said, I think CC is an obvious one. It will become a part of Gmail, in my opinion.
I'm really pleased that they're at the place where they're now doing that, right? Like that says the Gmail team is now taking what's happening over on Gemini seriously enough.
Yeah. But but the fascinating thing to me is they're not just pulling the trigger on just it. All right, we're putting this now. We're going to put this in Gmail right now, right? And it's like, no, let's experiment with. Let's see how it goes. We're going to get feedback. We might make changes, whatever.
Right.
They don't do this with everything. I should be clear about that, but I like the feel of this. And oddly, as I started to look into this, and I was looking at things like, well, what else does Google have, that might be considered this kind of a lab type experiment or whatever. I was reminded that back in September, Microsoft announced something called Windows AI Lab, right? And Windows AI Lab is what Google Labs is to Windows, oddly. And the idea is I've never seen it. I'm not even positive they've ever done anything like it, but you might get a little pop-up in like the settings app and it will say something like, hey, maybe you'd like to try some experimental features in Paint or Photos or whatever. And you can sign up, or you can say, I'm not interested. The button that doesn't exist in any UI anywhere in Windows, by the way. And it just leaves you alone. What an idea. What an idea. Actually, that might be maybe it's in the settings pane for Paint or whatever. So I'm not sure. I'm going to run Paint and see if I see this. I've never seen this. Like I said, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm kind of saying it doesn't exist. Like, I don't, it's a good idea. Anyway, so even Microsoft, I'm sorry, not Paint, Notepad. Even Microsoft has, at least part of it has come to this. Oh, maybe we should try, maybe these should be experimental, right? I mean, I think things like agents right now should be really experimental, right? Like,
sure.
I don't see this in here, but.
Well, I think,
anyway.
Part of the frustration that people have is simply presenting these things as products when they clearly aren't products yet.
Right. That's right.
And if you just showed them as experiments they were, so that we could be experimental with them and set our expectations.
I always, this is another one. Like, remember, I think it was Qualcomm. This would have been 3-4 years ago, longer. I don't know. But, Cristiano Amor is on stage. He's talking about 5G. It was still coming at the time. And he says, this thing is going to be so fast. Mm-hmm. You're going to be boarding a plane. You're standing in line to get on the plane. And you're like, oh, I forgot to download a movie to watch on my phone. And you're going to go to your phone, whatever it is, Netflix, whatever, find the thing you want, click the download button, and nothing will be done downloading before you hand the guy the ticket. Now, I'm not saying no one has ever not done that or whatever. I know I will now hear from the guy that has. But the truth is, if you didn't download something before you got on a plane, I get bad news for you. You're probably not getting it, right? It's like even if you have Wi-Fi on the plane, you're probably not getting it. So that always seemed like this wonderful dream. Like it's going to be like instantaneously fast, which is why we need 6G now. But I feel like a lot of the AI stuff is a little bit like that. It's been sold as too futuristic and too exciting and too much. And then you see what it is and you're like, okay, so I made a watercolor picture of a banana. And you're like, I mean, it's cool. It's, it's nice, but I mean, it's not curing cancer, right? Like, so I think the hype has outperformed the reality.
I think it's part of what's turning everybody off. It's just like enough.
Well, it's incessant. I mean, it's just incessant.
Yeah. Remember that great chemistry demo they did at Ignite? I thought that was really cool.
That's the thing is there's such excellent ones. Like
that's right.
Let's not ignore the fact that DeepMind has solved protein folding,
right?
And has published 200 million, completed protein folds after 60 years of effort. It was by humans was able to produce 150, right?
Remember it was folding at home. People were throwing in their extra CPU cycles to help,
and they managed to get one.
So.
Really? Is that all they got? Is that all folding at home got? Is one?
One. Yeah.
It was a computationally challenging thing.
Incredibly difficult. Yeah. But once again, it's like there's certain classes of work that generative AI does an astonishing job on, and this is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's incredibly important.
Not so much. Yeah. So you may, what's the name of this company now? Grammarly, not Grammarly. God, these are different companies. I'm sorry. Duolingo. Got in a little bit of trouble, sort of, when the CEO said, "Yeah, we're not going to hire any more of these outside. We're going to have employees, but we're not going to have any more of these consultant types. We're going to use a lot of AI, and it's going to dramatically increase the volume and quality of the content we have, and that content being language courses of various units and sizes, whatever." So I'm using this app. I've been using this app for probably, actually, it's over a decade, actually, but whatever the time frame. For Spanish. And so I had gotten up to level 130. And so Duolingo at some point realigned their courses so that, first expanded their courses and then realigned them so they match up with whatever the international standard is for language learning. So you can go in and say, well, between 121 and 130, you're like a G6 or whatever the terminology is. And you should be able to understand, basic phrases and talk to people, fairly fluently, whatever it is. So I was thinking it's Spanish, right? So this is going to be like one of the most popular ones I have. It's going to be infinite. There was a time 10 years ago plus where I finished French and finished Spanish later. But now those things have expanded to the point where I couldn't live long enough to finish these things, except I finished Spanish. And the thing is, as I told Richard when he was here, I'm like, I don't know Spanish. I know some Spanish, but I'm like, I don't know what. So it turns out their language coverage of Spanish is not complete. If you go and look in their little guide to it, it's from 130 to 1 to 140 will equate to whatever the number system is for the standard, but they don't have those courses. So I'm like, but you have AI. How is this? Oh, Siri, why did you have to? Seriously, Siri just came on.
Seriously. Well,
she's like, I'm sorry. I don't know. You're always apologizing, Siri. Just be you. You're stupid. It's okay.
The word for apple is manzana.
Yeah, exactly. The word for banana. Stop talking. What are you doing, you insane person? Stop. Anyway.
It's funny because it's the AI you least want to talk to.
Which is the one that's always piping up. I know. Someday maybe I'll want to talk to Siri. This year not that day. Today's not that day.
Gemini is going to be the default. It might be good.
But I don't have anywhere to go now. And like Duolingo, there's no more courses. So I would have to go in and configure it. Like I have to say, I want to throw away all my progress and just start Spanish over. So I can be like, me llamo Pablo again and go back to, lesson 1 or whatever. And that's bizarre to me because there should be infinite Spanish lessons. Like this should be the one of the 5 that they just have a million, things.
Yeah. Of all the languages in all the world.
That blew my mind. I guess I'm going to learn chess. I don't know. Is
that a language?
No, but they teach chess and math and music, and They teach other
interesting.
things.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
All
I'm sure
with
it's
AI,
just,
no doubt.
it's all terrible. I'm sure it's just frustrating.
Did you see that Coursera is buying Udemy?
No.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That's a big
If you had said
consolidation.
Coursera was buying Udemy, that would have been even
That would
more
be
interesting.
something.
But Coursera is buying Udemy. Interesting. I guess that makes sense, right? I mean,
2.5 billion.
that makes no sense. Really? They have that much? Wow. How is it worth
That's a lot of money.
You know what the two letters are that make it worth 2.5 billion? AI.
Yeah.
Coursera to buy Udemy, creating a $2.5 billion firm to target AI training.
Right.
They should
Everybody
rename
wants to
AI
learn
to AIOU. You know,
AIOU.
everyone else. Just
I love
AI,
it.
Sorry, AIOU. I don't know how to say it, but
Yeah,
one of those things.
I love it. I've taken courses on both. There's not that much to distinguish them.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And what's the big one though? Because I still did.
I thought Coursera was the big one. There's a bigger.
No, there's another one. I don't know how I'd find this. I get emails from all. I've taken courses at this other one that I can't.
Well, there's
name.
LinkedIn Learning is huge.
I would
right?
never use anything that had the word LinkedIn in it.
It's a Microsoft company.
That's terrible, though. I hate it so much. What is the name of this thing?
I've done courses from MIT on.
It's.
What was the name of it? I can't even remember now.
God, it's bug. I can't believe I can't think of this.
EDX. That was the one I used.
Yeah.
I really like.
I feel like I've used all of these things at some point, right? Like,
yeah.
why?
I did some programming courses on EDX that were good, but that was because it came from UC, the University of British Columbia, UBC.
Right.
Excellent courses.
This is going to bug me now.
I'm taking
It'll come back.
MIT OpenCourseWare courses but I'm doing that on YouTube, so I don't know.
This is very strange.
The big four, according to somebody, are Udemy, Coursera, EDX, and LinkedIn Learning.
Yep. So
I don't know what you're thinking of, Paulie. Masterclass, maybe?
No. This is very strange to me. I'll figure it out. I can't. I don't understand why I can't.
HubSpot? No, I don't think HubSpot's one of them. There's Duolingo, Gumroad, OpenAI Cookbook Log. No, these are not. What am I? This is the best online learning in 2025.
I feel like. I will find this.
Beat code. I don't know what you're thinking of. I don't know. Are you thinking of like the brick and mortar ones? Like
no, this is an online thing. I've actually paid for courses for programming. I think it was early iOS and Android stuff.
Khan Academy, Teachable.
I love. You're like, I've heard of all of these things, and none of them are
and
that
it's
thing.
Not the one you're thinking of.
It's crazy.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why.
What's going on? I'll find it. I swear to God, this isn't just in my brain, but it is right now, just in my brain, which means I can't access it. I don't know what's going on. Top. Anyway. Okay.
Okay. Have we?
I think we
pretty
much
segment?
handled the. Yeah, I think so.
The AI segment. Have we done the AI segment? AI's in everything,
Are
including.
we going to let the AI segment go? That's really the question.
There's a bunch of stuff I didn't put in on purpose.
Well, that's fine because there's a whole show coming up in about, I don't know, an hour.
Yep. Yeah.
Devoted to AI.
Udacity.
Why didn't I think of that one?
Why didn't I think of it? That's the only one. This is one I've spent the most money on. Jeez,
I've spent money on Udacity too. I actually like Udacity a lot. Yeah. This week on Intelligent Machines, we are interviewing CJ Trowbridge on AI sustainability and resiliency.
So that'll be a short conversation, huh?
I know. They're a YouTube did their graduate degree in artificial intelligence, ethical artificial intelligence.
Well, so that'll
be interesting. Yeah. We're trying to. I want to cover the whole, range of topics, and I think one of the big topics right now of AI is sustainability. Is can we afford it? Can we do it? It's killing RAM prices. It's killing all power prices.
I know.
Apparently, I saw a story this week that all of the skilled construction workers are employed building data centers, so you can't get them to build bridges anymore.
We're creating another supply chain crisis, essentially.
Yeah, the infrastructure issue.
And a lot of this is pre-order. Like they don't even have the gear, right? Like, and you have to wonder, like, when the bubble finally bursts, like how much of this just won't ever appear.
Right. In any event, I should mention, as I did earlier, that there will be a very special Windows Weekly next week because it's going to be it is going to be Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, there'll be nothing. Come to think of it, there'll be nothing. It'll be very special in that there will be a hole in your podcast app where Windows Weekly used to be, because I can't make people work.
We're going to recharge.
Rest, relax, recharge. And actually, I shouldn't, but I'm gonna, because I enjoy it. We do have the special recharge logo, creation of Joe. Our where'd it go? Did you take it down? Creation of our here it is. This is a special badge just for you, Richard Campbell. Some days the brown liquor segment starts a little early. This is you were actually playing with the dog, but we actually thought you'd passed away. So
no, I hadn't died yet. Not quite
I have that. I do have that effect on people. Yeah. You know,
I'm getting better.
So I'm sorry. You still talking? Like, okay, I get it.
Honk. But for New Year's Eve, we are going to do a fun holiday special with Richard and Paul, sitting around the fire, sharing stories. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
All of our shows are doing best ofs, but we're doing some different things. Intelligent Machines, we're going to take what I think are some of the most important interviews we did of the year. Ray Kurzweil, Emily Bender, Mike Masnick, Pliny. It'll be very interesting. We're going to do for Security Now, we're going to do a legendary episode, the Vitamin D episode. We're going to bring that out. People haven't heard that in a while. So it's going to be a little different. And then we are Sunday doing a special twit, which is going to be a lot of fun. You guys have done our holiday shows. Steve Gibson will be back, Paris Martineau and Micah Sargent. We'll sit around and probably look back at the year. Micah covers all the tech news, and Paris covers intelligence and radioactive shrimp, and Steve Gibson covers security. So we'll probably look
radioactive shrimp.
That's her. So her beat at Consumer Reports. She's an investigative reporter for food safety, and she broke the story of radioactive shrimp and lead in your protein supplements.
Yeah, but is any of that worse than Copilot? I'm just
no.
Just asking questions.
No. All right. We do have the Xbox segment. We have the Brown Liquor segment. We have lots more coming up. You're watching Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell. Our show this week brought to you by Outsystems, the #1 AI-powered low-code development platform. This is actually very cool. You know, in business, there's always been this conundrum, build versus buy. When you need custom software, do you go out and you buy an off-the-shelf piece of software that sort of fits, sort of does the job, but something everybody in your area is using, but maybe you can make it work? Or do you do as we did, to our dismay, build your own at great expense, great loss of resource? And you don't, honestly, and we spent more money maintaining the darn thing than we did create it in the first place, our sales system. It's a good system. It works. We're glad we have it, but build versus buy, that's always been a tough one. Well, now there's a third way, thanks to Outsystems. Outsystems creates custom software using low code plus AI. Now, there's a match that really works. Organizations all over the world are creating custom apps, AI agents on the Outsystems platform. And there's a lot of reasons for it, because Outsystems is all about outcomes. They're very focused on giving you an app that changes how you do things, makes it better, helping teams quickly deploy apps, and now AI agents as well, and delivering results. And they have the success stories. Go to the website, you'll see. They helped a top U.S. bank deploy an app for customers to open new accounts on any device. So it was mobile and desktop. It delivered 75% faster onboarding times. They helped one of the largest brewers in the world, the one with the green bottles, you know how they are, deploy a solution to automate tasks to clear bottlenecks, which delivered a savings of 1 million development hours. How much would be a million? How much do you pay a developer? Now multiply that by 1 million. That's a lot of money. They even helped a global insurer accelerate development of a portal and app for their employees. So this was an intranet app, which delivered a 360-degree view of customers and a great way for insurance agents to grow policy sales. They did it all with Outsystems. Outsystems platform is truly a game changer for development teams. With AI-powered low-code, this is, of course, I should have known. This is the way to do it. Teams can build custom, future-proof applications because you can always adapt them, right? They could build AI agents as well, and they could do this as fast as buying an app. But the great thing about Outsystems is it's a platform, so you get built-in, table stakes, starting point, fully automated architecture, securities built right in, all the integrations with all the tools you use built right in. You get data flows, you get permissions, you get all the stuff that you want, right? And that's the starting point. With Outsystems, it's so easy to create your own purpose-built apps and agents. There really is no longer a need to consider off-the-shelf software solutions again. And please, trust me, do not start from scratch writing your own either. You need Outsystems. Outsystems, the #1 AI-powered low-code development platform. Learn more at outsystems.com/twit. That's outsystems.com/twit. TWIT. We thank him so much for supporting Windows Weekly. All right, back to little Paulie Thurrott and Ricardo Camballo and mobile gaming. We're going to do kind of a gaming on gaming here.
A little gaming wave.
I know that
Let's
Epic Games and Tim Sweeney are controversial in some circles, but I think they're
jumping up and down right now.
A debt of thanks. One huge against Google. Google appealed all the way to the Supreme Court, who was not interested. And
that was the case where the judge in the regional area said, "You guys need to settle this."
Yeah, he said, "Listen, you don't want me to rule in this case.
Yeah.
You should talk. You're going to talk to a mediator." And he did. Nothing happened. He's like, "All right, well, here we go."
Yeah.
Went bad. So the thing that's most amazing about this, honestly, is that after the fact, they settled. So
oh, man.
Google actually, it's even better. They extended this thing out more years. They applied it worldwide. Epic is like, they're a great partner again. Thank you. And now Fortnite's back in the Google Play Store in the United States. Like, they're just getting along great. It took, 5 years of billions of dollars of legal battles, but Google finally saw the common sense that I've been trying to ask these companies that were so terrible to just sort of understand and learn from Microsoft. Like, if you fight this thing, you might get an outcome you don't like. But if you work towards settling it and work with these regulators in particular, you can at least have a say in your future.
Yeah, you don't want case law around this. It eliminates your choices.
Yeah. So, Apple did better against Epic until they did what Apple does, which is belligerently not do anything that's required of them under the law. And the judge dropped the hammer on this company back in, I don't know when it was, July or mid-year. I don't remember. It was the most incredible legal thing I've ever read in my life. She was like, "All right, I'm just taking everything away. You're not going to be able to get any fees. You're not going to she's like, "We're just going to give them everything they wanted and we're going to apply it to the whole market." It's like, good job, Apple. So they appealed that and they lost. So there's this one thing that I think people have widely misunderstood is that Google or Apple was trying to charge a 27% fee on purchases that were made outside of its app store, which is like insanity. And they were saying, the panel of judges that issued this ruling said, Apple should be able to recoup something when their intellectual property is used, and the judge can think about that she can ask the two companies to do it, or we can just say what we think is fair. It's going to be closer to like 0 than it is to 27. I can tell you that. But if you listen to Tim Sweeney, his thing is like, they can never do what they're doing. If it's not what you think it is, it's more like maybe per app there's a $1,000 to $2,000 fee because there are human beings involved. It's a one-time thing. It's not like a per app thing. It's like if the purchase occurs outside the App Store, Apple doesn't get anything. Like that's the way it's supposed to be. So Apple could have charged 10%. That's all I'm saying. And no one would have said a word. This never would have happened, And it's greedy. So I think that's beautiful. So there's that. I guess that's technically gaming related. The Xbox December update came out yesterday. It's a small one in the sense that there's only 2 updates. And I was going to say, neither are directly related to the console at all, but they're both pretty good ones. So the Xbox mobile app, so the app for Android, iPhone, or iPad, added the ability to buy apps or games rather back early in the year because of the various legal issues around the world that these companies have had. But now they've added a store tab directly to it, so just make it a lot easier and nice. The other big one, and this is that Bluetooth LE thing I was talking about earlier. If you have an Xbox wireless headset, you have a firmware update to install, and it's going to lower latency, better battery life, super wideband stereo voice, broadcast audio capabilities, like really, really good stuff, and specifically on a Windows 11 PC.
Wow.
And so whatever, it's good. Makes sense. It would be a small update at this time of year. Microsoft announced
no new games.
No, this is like a system update.
Right.
In January, Microsoft's going to have another Xbox Developer Direct event. This is where mostly third parties, but not all third parties, come and show off whatever games are coming in the future. This is one of those vague ones because they're like, well, we don't really have any specific games. There's a lot of stuff, though. Of course, there's a lot of stuff. Playground Games will be part of it. These are the guys who do one of the Forza, I think the Forza Horizon games, I think. But remember, Halo Campaign Evolved. Is that the right name? Yeah. And there's also like a new kind of origin story kind of a thing for Gears of War that are both coming out next year too. Those are, historically anyway, the biggest Xbox games, our biggest Xbox studio game and Microsoft studio games. So I would imagine they're going to be part of it. So once we get past the holidays, we'll see when this happens. Do we have a date on this one? I don't think we do. No, just January. So not a lot of details yet, but there's stuff to look forward to after the holidays. And man, I almost didn't write about this because I know just by writing it, I'm going to manifest that it never happens. But supposedly, we have been getting rumors about a Half-Life 3 finally, right? 20 years later, 21 whatever years later. Now the rumor is it's going to launch with the Steam machine, which is that little kind of console PC type thing they announced about a month and a half ago.
GameCube.
The problems here are many. One is that because the cost of RAM has been going up, this thing was already going to be more expensive than people kind of wanted.
They need a delay.
So it might be delayed. And what this game needs is another delay. But I guess if you're talking 21 or 22 years, what's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? Just wait.
What's the difference is I literally would drop everything I'm doing to play this game all the way through.
And this is the brilliant thing about it. If you actually want to make a new console, come out on the market and actually have a splash.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, you need an exclusive title. And if that exclusive title was a new Half-Life game, you might just pull it off.
Can't get better than that.
But you'll ruin it if you overprice the machine and or strip it down or
But people would pay almost anything for
I know.
Half-Life 3, I think.
I feel like I'd pay $1,000 to play this game right now.
Yeah.
Like I could just have it right now. I'd do it.
Do you think so? Like the assets and like the code was just kind of like frozen in amber somewhere. And
well, I hope not. Right. I hope it's not a 2004 era Half-Life 2 engine game, and I don't think it will be. I mean, but
it's got to. Some of it had to have been done 20 years ago.
I don't know
if they started, and along comes.
There have been different, pushes to make this happen. Obviously,
is it the same studio? Are they even alive? Are they around?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, the folks that work at Valve don't leave. It's an unbelievably great job. It's incredibly hard to get in
Steam,
there.
isn't it? It's the same company.
Yes,
that's right.
It's the same company.
So really, this is their own in-house team.
And they run a super flat organization where you pretty much decide what project you want to work on. So the reason the Half-Life didn't come along is because they all moved to other projects that were making them more money.
Right.
It wasn't even more complicated than that, right? Like that was the reality. Was
right
that massive multiplayer games was just so much more money.
We've gotten a lot of things we didn't want, and we didn't get this one thing we really want. I find that to be more than vaguely upsetting.
I'm just really curious. Like, is it on floppy? Like the work they had done is like
on big hard drives.
I mean,
it's sitting on hard drives somewhere.
I don't look.
Keeping it up.
The Portal games have kind of come and gone since then, right? There's the Left 4 Dead games, and you can see
I got it.
Say DNA or whatever of the Alex, the Half-Life VR game,
and
a couple of years back.
VR. But they also had written themselves into a corner, like this prospect that you were going to go to the alien world and so forth.
You mean the Prospect Nova?
They were in trouble story-wise of how they were going to continue.
So here's my theory. They have all the they have assets and they have a story and they have a storyline.
They're going to use AI to upsize it and then write the story.
They'll upsize it. They have an updated engine. I presume that the Half-Life engine's gotten better and better and better, right?
Yeah.
So really, they have an engine. It's really taking the existing engine and taking the old assets, somehow updating them. Maybe finishing the story. They must.
That's fine with me. What you've just described is something I would pay money for. So that would be great.
And we're also not talking about Half-Life 2 Episode 3, which never came along. We're talking about a Half-Life
different,
which also is geez, come on. These are games. I'd have to really think about. It's like who have you? Which brand have you seen live the most? It's kind of hard to remember, but Half-Life and Half-Life 2, and then the add-ons like Blue Origin and then this like Black Mesa, kind of modernization from outside of Portal games. I played all of these things through so many times.
Yeah.
And obviously at this point the original Half-Life doesn't live up like graphically, but as a story, at least the first, there are three that you were referencing.
This is Paul. I love it that you republished from 2004 your original Half-Life 2 review. Okay. You republished it in 2018, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And, so you've been living in hope ever since.
These games were just fundamental. I mean, they're
they were absolutely. Oh
my God! But Half-Life 2. I mean, that you're not really there, but you can make.
Oh, you did this when the Orange Box came out. That's why.
Yeah, this is for a while.
Yeah.
But it's it can look a lot better than this. Like Black Mesa looks better than this, as does they did the remastering. I think this past year, right?
So you spend $500 million, get artists in.
Yep.
Just create new assets. You've got
all the art will have to be
updated
redone.
engine.
2 ways about it.
Half-Life is like Star Wars. I owned it in every format available.
Right.
Every time. And Half-Life, the world moves on. So PC, we go to Xbox 360. Yep. Xbox, absolutely. They do the remastered version. Black Mesa comes out. I'm like, yep, I'm playing this game again.
Beatles album ever.
Yep, same thing.
And
exactly.
I'm going to buy the Pink Floyd 50th anniversary 100%. Of which you were here.
Like the Anthology 4 comes out, you're like, thank you. There's nothing new on here. I don't care. Yeah. It's 18 hours long. I'm listening to all of this.
Don't care.
The only other game I ever found as replayable as Half-Life 2 was Fallout New Vegas.
Interesting.
And actually a lot of those Fallout games they're New Vegas games. Because there was so many ways to end that game. Like
they feel there's a kindred. They feel like kindred spirits to the original Half-Life too. I mean, they're very much the next thing.
They actually don't hold up quite as well, but the first 3 Halo games, the single player campaigns, were other games I had played many, many times again and again. But I think the problem is once you get into really good multiplayer type things, at least for me, the single player, it didn't, because it could be anything at any time, even though you're playing the same levels over and over again, like the circumstances are going to be a little different every time. Whereas if you play through Half-Life 2 today, there aren't 5 different outcomes, right? Like you're going to play through Half-Life 2. It's not like on rails, but it's also a story, right? It's it's whatever it is. It's a story. It's that one to me, Half-Life 2 especially to me really holds up, but oh well.
Well, anyway. I hope you're right. I mean, you have good reason for believing this?
No. Other than, No,
it would be a brilliant marketing move. I mean, it would sell those Steam boxes.
Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't pull this out of thin air. There's a game journalist who has sources have told him this is happening. They'd given him very specific dates for the release, but it's been pushed back. And he says, I'm glad I didn't say anything about the dates, not just because I would have been wrong, but because he thinks this was a phishing thing on Valve's part. They were trying to find out who was leaking information. I mean, obviously this is a big deal, but again, why wouldn't they just announce it right now? You announced the box. It's going to come with this game. Are you kidding me?
Because they don't.
You could take pre-orders right now, sight unseen.
Yep. I think I'd even order one.
Yeah.
And
I would buy one of these things just to play
PC Master Race, and I'd still game's too good.
Yeah. During COVID, I bought a big PC just to play Valheim, and it saved my life during COVID.
Yeah,
hundreds of hours. Yeah, so a really good game. It's worth it. Think of how. I mean,
that type of game,
what are you paying per hour?
Is there like an Assassin's Creed game or just like a, I don't know what it is, like what holds up? Like the type of game you just walk around. It's
Minecraft.
It's just stuff everywhere. Like you just keep walking and there's new stuff. You don't ever hit the edge of the world. It just keeps going. Like what's the best of those games?
I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey was like that, where I remember at one point I was ignoring the game. I literally followed an old woman who would walk to the market, buy the stuff to make bread, go back to
live her life
make
in
bread.
The game, and
it's
you're
true.
like, yep,
it's just astonishing.
It's like traveling through history, traveling through time.
Yeah, that's great.
I did that too. Yeah, World of Warcraft. You never get tired of that.
Yeah, never.
Well, those guys work really hard to keep the story moving too, right? Like they keep making new games inside of
World of Warcraft is Activision, right? This is the same.
Yeah, it's Blizzard,
right? This is the Blizzard. Oh, I'm sorry, Blizzard. Okay, no, never mind.
It's all the same now, buddy.
It's all the same Microsoft
now.
all the way
it's
down.
All Microsoft now. All righty.
Anyway, if they want that Steam machine to work, this is how you do it. This is the title.
Well, Gabe knows that. He knows that.
Gabe's no fool, man. And I don't know why he wants
it's really
to be
whether
this
it's
hungry.
doable. All it is whether it's doable.
I just don't understand why that
as a business
hardware is not
a thing that makes sense to buy.
No, whether Half-Life 3 is doable, whether they can actually do it.
Well, have they got a story that's worthy? Because that's a tough franchise to step into.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to put out a dud.
Well, it's like the Wachowskis trying to deal with making another Matrix film. Like it was essentially
you can tell they blew it all in the first one, and it was
there was nothing left.
Happy Gilmore 2 nailed it. I mean, I don't know.
I'd never seen Happy Gilmore, so I thought,
that's
I
worth
watched
watching.
that first.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't bring myself.
Then you watch them back to back.
Another one.
Yeah, there is, but it's
one was enough. Yeah. I was satisfied.
I was confused his movies, but it's the one with the Bob Barker, and he attacks him on the golf course. It must be because it was the golf.
That's Happy Gilmore, yeah.
Oh my God, it's the best. Also, the Steve Buscemi character he calls to apologize for being a jerk in high school. He's like, "Oh, I never thought anything about it. Don't worry about it." And then he hangs up and he has this list that says people to kill, and he crosses that guy's name off the list because he called him. This is so excellent. It's just. Yeah, it's one of the it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. So I guarantee you somebody who is working on Half-Life 3 is listening right now and kind of they're
chuckling to themselves.
Yeah. So message me on Signal. Nobody will know.
Yeah.
Don't use your work phone. Leo Laporte.
I'll give you my credit card number right now. Just let us know. I'm not asking for a gift. I will
tug
buy it.
your ear. If we're on track.
Yes, exactly.
Just give us just a clue, a hint.
Just a little something.
A hint. We will take a break and come back with the back of the book in just a little bit. You're watching Windows Weekly. Last official. Well, this isn't really the last episode, but the last news episode of 2025.
We're really having a trouble describing this situation,
It's I
feel like it's
the penultimate episode of 2025.
It's the penultimate, but we've recorded it the ultimate. It's confusing.
We did it out of order. This is actually Abbey Road. This is
yes. This is thank you. This is our Abbey Road. That's exactly that. Now we have figured out that's how we
do the show.
That's exactly it. This is my Maxwell silver hammer. Yep, I knew I'd get there.
Our show today is brought to you by CashFly, not only our sponsor, but quite literally brought to you by CashFly, because they're our content delivery network, and they have been practically since day one on Twit. For over 20 years, CashFly has held a track record for high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery, serving over 5,000 companies in over 80 countries. And we know how good they are because we've been using CashFly for almost, I think, all of that time. 18 years, 17 years. We love their lag-free video loading, their hyper-fast downloads, their friction-free site interactions. I am approached practically weekly by other CDNs saying, hey, we can give you a deal. And I just say, no, I got CashFly. I got CashFly. Join companies like Adobe, Microsoft, LG, the NFL, and many more that rely on CashFly. You know, most CDN providers kind of hold you back. You know, you can only do what they let you do. With CashFly, you get a tailored solution, and I will vouch for this, performance-obsessed partners. So your CDN becomes your competitive advantage. CashFly's proof is in the petabytes. Events stream smoothly to millions of concurrent users worldwide. Online games start 70% faster. They scale instantly. They play without lag. Software downloads flawlessly during releases, patches, and updates. HD video plays on demand with ultra-fast sub-second start on every device. You can vouch for that, verify that by going to our website, press the play button on our video. Boom, boom. And that's important because we know if you get there, you know this, you press the play button and you have to wait at more than a second or two, that's it, you're gone. Podcasts like ours reach global audiences at record speed at any scale. We deliver, I think it's 2 petabytes a month. It's more than a petabyte a month of data on CashFly without a hitch. CashFly delivers rich media content up to 158% faster than other major CDNs and allows you to shield your site content in their cloud, ensuring a 100% cache hit ratio. And I love this because they did this for us. They'll do it for you. Never pay for service overlap again with flexible month-to-month billing for as long as you need it. We didn't know anything. We had no idea, when the most downloads would happen, when we need the most bandwidth, the least, all of that. So they were flexible with us for as long as we needed until we could figure that out. And then you get discounts for fixed terms once you're happy. It's not just us. You can design your own contract when you switch to CashFly. CashFly. It's like gaining an extension of your team, the best engineers. When your entire business model depends on delivering massive content like ours, you don't want to go it alone. And with CashFly, you can count on personalized help anytime from a tenured expert who gets it engineer to engineer 24/7. Learn how you can get your first month free at cashfly.com/twit. That's CACHEFLY.com/twit. CashFly. Thank you, CashFly. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the back of the book.
Well, since this is our ultimate/penultimate Abbey Road episode,
yes,
I thought I would kind of think about the tip and app of the year. The app one maybe is iffy, but tip of the year is, unfortunately, I just talked about this last week, but it's definitely this de-insurtify Windows 11 stuff. So whether it's Tiny11 Builder, if you're doing a clean install, Win 11 to bloat after the fact, and then the combination of Rufus, MS Edge Direct, and Explorer Patcher just to get rid of all the other stupid stuff going on in Windows. And, between these things, this works. Now, there's a long-term question. I'm getting there where there's the possibility, maybe even the likelihood, that some future version of Windows or some future feature update to Windows will reverse some of this stuff, right? And so the idea, I probably talked about this a year ago. It's been a long time, but I've been thinking for a long time about creating my own sort of tweaking utility, and I've taken some steps toward it. But the key feature of this thing would be that you could either have it running in the background, but more likely you would just run it maybe on first, every time you boot the computer, and it would examine your configuration and compare it to the one you configured through the app. And if it wasn't correct, you could tell them, but you could also just fix it, right? And so I kind of want to do that. I'm surprised no one really does that. The closest we have is, Win 11 to bloat has the ability to export the configuration changes made, so you can import them and then reapply them, which is okay. But I would like to just not bother. Like if the system configuration hasn't changed, just just leave it alone. But anyway, this stuff makes a big difference. So I'll keep looking at things like this. But to me, this was a big deal. So there's no reason to accept the defaults in Windows 11, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And then this is a real recent one. It's a game too. Maybe this is a little unfair, but Fortnite, in addition to Epic, getting Fortnite back into the App Store, getting it back into the Google Play Store. It's like I said, it's available on Windows 11 on ARM. And I have to say, there's something about this game I actually really like. So I'm trying Battlefield. It's not quite the same as Call of Duty. Call of Duty has jumped the shark in some ways. Fortnite is a little cartoonish looking, but you get in and out of these games really quick. It's not as cartoonish as it is. I still don't have Beavis and Butthead running around or the Chucky doll thing, and like that's in Call of Duty. Like they've done weird things to it. There is Fortnite has some weird stuff.
I think they did those weird things because of Fortnite, though. I mean, that's the irony of it.
But they have the dancing stuff, and no, what I like about it is how, first of all, much smaller game, but it's good action. It's similar gameplay. And
you prefer to PUBG because that's what happened. Is PUBG did that battle royale and Fortnite?
I think
said, we should do.
I'm going to spend more time with PUBG and also with Warzone, by the way, which I have not played recently. This is the one, the battle royale that comes with Call of Duty. So I feel like there might be something in there because for me, I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time playing like the games I played normally in the new Call of Duty. I just don't like it, and I'm tired of it, and I got to try something slightly different. So yeah, it could be Warzone. It might be PUBG. Like I said, I did install that on a couple of computers. But the thing I like about Fortnite is it's the smallest of the games. It's the quickest to install, the quickest to get in and out. It plays great, and it plays really well on Windows and ARM. So even if that's what I have, I can still have this game. Like whereas I cannot play Battlefield, PUBG, or Call of Duty on a non-reasonably high-end modern x64 computer. So it's very good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to say. And now I'm going to, what's that dance called where they do the thing they shake there?
Yeah.
I'm a little behind. I feel like this was big about 10 years ago.
Yeah, you are a little behind. So,
but remember, this thing's been banned and blocked everywhere, and so it's making a comeback or whatever. It's got to be the top 3 games of all time, or
it's a
top
great game.
3 current games even. Like it's still really big.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
It wasn't flossing. It was the one from the Fresh Prince.
Flossing. Flossing is close enough.
Flossing's one of them. Yeah.
But this was like a long time ago. This was not like 3 or 4 years ago. This could have been 10 or more years ago. I don't remember.
Let's put it this way. There are adults who played this as kids.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't feel old enough already. Sure.
Yeah,
of course.
And
my kid thinks the world was in black and white one time, and then we had a Wizard of Oz moment where everything turned to color.
Everything changed.
It's amazing.
It wasn't quite like that. But
Richard Campbell, RunAs Radio.
One of my sort of last regular shows of the year as well, because the last 2 are a little more playful. I find on the holiday season people want to goof around, but that is not this show. This is Michelle Bustamante, who's one of the best security people I know, but much more on the architectural side. Like she paints a really great picture of how to think about how zero trust has evolved and what you've really got to approach as a CISO or as a company leader to think about security in a contemporary way, because the bad guys are only getting better. And so this was an intense conversation about dealing with modern authentication, thinking through the cybersecurity frameworks from NIST and other related, and just like how the cloud helps, how it endangers, how do you get all these things in place and actually end up with something fairly maintainable. For better or worse, in my beginning of the 2026, what's going to be like to be a sysadmin, the biggest topic is security, because the exploits are still vast. And so this move to where, the cloud has forced us to think zero trust, and that's really beneficial because along the way we've come up with deeper and more significant security policies. And Michelle's just one of those great thinkers in this space. So it was a face-to-face conversation. We were at a conference together and just got to talk for a while, and I hope folks value it.
Michelle Bustamante. I think Zero Trust is a fascinating subject. So
huge.
I will be listening.
Absolutely
Show
huge.
1015 for Run as Radio at runasradio.com. Now, have a look today. It's time for some brown liquor.
So I picked
Tasmania.
This up. Yeah.
Neat.
This is a Tasmanian whiskey. We've talked Tasmanian before a few times. Starward, Hellier. We've had a few. And I kind of felt bad because Lark is the original Tasmanian whiskey. It's a bit mythological how original it actually is. Like this man, Bill Lark, who's still around today, although he's largely retired these days. His company's not his own anymore. Supposedly put, Tasmanian whiskey on the map, and it's not entirely true. Like all mythologies, it comes from more complicated things than this. We've talked about Tasmania before. They named for Abel Tasman, who was a Dutch explorer, went through there in the 1600s. Although he didn't name it after him, he named it after the governor of the Dutch East Indies, whose name was Diemen's Land, and so it was for a long time, and even the British called it Van Diemen's Land. And I told a little bit about the William Bligh story as well. When Bligh was a Navy man, he was always a Navy man, but when he was actually doing surveying, he surveyed Tasmania in 1792. And then when he became the governor of New South Wales, that was the only coup that ever happened in Australia, because Bligh was that kind of guy. And at one point, he actually went to Tasmania for a couple of years, waiting on his ship, trying to find a way to get his governorship back before he finally went to England in 1810. The original town, more or less, for Tasmania is Hobart Town in the southeast, in Sullivan's Cove, which is actually the name of one of the whiskeys there. And of course, this is back when it was a colony operated by prisoners. So there were 19 crimes that could get you sent to Australia, and this was one of the places there. But being the southernmost piece of land in Australia, it has very good weather for growing barley and all the other ingredients to make good stuff. In fact, it even has its own peat. And so they, of course, were making whiskey there and every other kind of alcohol you could do, as well as beer, because it's also safe to drink because we don't actually understand water quality. And a Governor Lachlan Macquarie, this is the same guy who refused to help Bligh back in the time of the coup in 1822, says, well, everybody's distilling here anyway without any regulation, so we might as well tax it. So he sets up a permission system, a licensing system, and the first legal distillery in Tasmania is in 1822, which is a couple of years even before like Glenlivet started it up, because the excise tax in Scotland is until 1823. So shortly there are dozens of licensed distilleries in and around Hobart. This eventually, Van Diemen's Land becomes independent from New South Wales in 1825. And a few years further on, the next governor in charge, a guy named Sir John Franklin, has a wife whose name is Lady Jane. And in 1839, she famously says, I would prefer barley to be fed to pigs than be used to turn men into swine, and convinces her husband, the governor, brilliant. It is brilliant, to outlaw the distilling of spirits. And so there is literally a full prohibition on making any kind of spirit on the Isle of Tasmania from 1839 for quite some time. Okay, that was still Van Diemen's Land. It doesn't become officially Tasmania until 1856. That rule will change a few decades on. In 1862, they start allowing whiskey production in there again, and it'll continue to scale up into the 1900s. The primary act of control is 1901. It's called the Distillation Act. And one of the rules that it had, subsequently changed, was that the minimum size of a still was 2,700 liters, which is not huge in commercial standards, but it's big enough that it makes all kinds of home distilling illegal. Right? You would never have a still that big. That's even too big for a garage. It's massive. By the 1930s, the British distillers get heavily involved in making whiskey in and around Australia. And Australia has protectionist policies in place, which means importing whiskey gets really expensive. So this is how the British distillers get involved, is they start doing blended whiskeys in Australia, specifically for the Australian market. But because there's no competition, because the imported whiskey is way too pricey, the whiskey is pretty bad. Like it's cheap blended whiskey, and it's kind of a mockery of whiskey for the most part. So that by 30 years on or so in the 1960s, when protectionist tariffs finally get lifted and imported whiskey gets a little more reasonably priced, nobody buys Australian whiskey. And by 1980, literally there is no whiskey being produced in Australia at all. And that gets us close to the sort of famous story of Bill Lark, that while fishing with his father-in-law in 1992, he sort of wonders why nobody makes single malt whiskey in Tasmania. And he finds out about the 1901 restrictions. And he had been dabbling in making spirits himself. And he had a 20-liter still, which is far smaller than a 2,700-liter still. And so he goes to the government to basically have the rule changed. Now, he wasn't the only one. And again, this is where you get into this sort of mythological story. A few years earlier, there was another distillery called the Darwin Distillery, very small scale in 1989, that made a deal with the government to get a grant around barley production in Tasmania. Tasmania had their own strain of barley called Franklin barley. And so they were starting to distill that into whiskey, even though they weren't licensed for large scale production. But it was those folks that, with Bill Lark, went to the government and said, hey, can we get rid of this restriction for 2,700 liters so that they could do small scale production? It really kicks off the craft whiskey production in Tasmania as a whole. Now, part of their challenge here is the banks don't like the distilling business. It's basically impossible to get loans. And so all these little distilleries essentially bootstrap. They start at very small scale, just what they can afford to pay for. Maybe they get a little bit of investment in. And so the whiskey business in Tasmania is really small scale. And Bill and Lynn Clark sort of earn their reputation as the godparents of the Tasmanian whiskey business, because anybody who starts one, they're there to help, including working with Sullivan's Cove and a bunch of the other distilleries there, while they're making their own whiskey as well. And again, in tiny batches. I saw a photograph of the distillery in 2006, and it's truly rustic whiskey making. They're winning awards by the late 90s, but small stills, open ferments. They wanted to make smoky whiskeys, but they didn't use peat to dry their malt. They did that through the brewery. So they would actually, after the malt, would then smoke it with peat. All their cutting's done by hand, no big controls over any of that. They're only aging in 100-liter barrels, tiny little casks, quarter casks, essentially. And so typical production for distilleries, including Lark at that time, is in the hundreds of liters per year. Barely even thousands of liters. It's just really small. By 2007, the family's directly involved. Bill's daughter, Christy, is taking over as general manager, will then become the master distiller and basically run the place, which is good because by 2010, while traveling in Scotland, because Bill Clark had made all these relationships with these other distilleries, Bill suffers a stroke. He survives and actually recovers, but the writing's sort of on the wall at that point that he needs to step back. He can't push himself so hard anymore. By 2012, there's about 8 different distilleries in Tasmania making whiskey. And in 2013, Bill and Lynn sell off 75% of the company to a group of undisclosed investors. This seems to be a common thing in Australia. Like it's all sort of quiet, including the dollar amount. It was somewhere between $1 and $5 million. Bill stays on. He's the brand ambassador, but he's not directly involved in production anymore. There's other folks involved in that. But they also figure out that because it's been such a small operation, even though he's been going for the better part of 20 years, he has about 1,000 100-liter barrels resting. And it's just not a lot of whiskey. By 2014, they're making 17,000 liters a year. That's it, right? Like that's less than what many Scottish distilleries make in a day. You know, big distilleries make millions of liters, and here he was making 17,000. So they don't even have a lot to scale up with. But something important happens in 2014, and that is Sullivan's Cove, one of the other Tasmanian distilleries, their French oak edition, which was finished in a wine barrel, wins world's best single malt at the World Whiskey Awards. So while in general it was perceived that Australian whiskey was terrible, suddenly there's this phenomenal whiskey, and like the eyes are on Tasmania, and that also brings the money in a big way. And a group called Montec International starts acquiring shares of Lark from any investor they can lay their hands on, and starts putting money into Lark. They scale up the operations a bit, put an 1,800 liter swash still in, a 600 liter spirit still. That's bigger, right? And then recognizing they just don't have enough whiskey from Lark itself, they acquire, with Bill's assistance, another distillery called Overeem. Casey Overeem and Bill Lark were friends. And it was about the time that Casey wanted to step away from whiskey anyway. So it was an opportunity basically to get Overeem in there. And that gives them more capacity. So they try and build things up. Montec in 2015 renames themselves the Australian Whiskey Holdings because they recognize they got to keep doing more acquisitions. But they also start to take far more control. In fact, daughter Christy, who's now married, Christy Booth Lark, is, quote, made redundant. Of course, her response to that is within a year, she'll start her own distillery in Hobart called Killara, which is still going to this day. Things get really ugly in 2016 for this group, for AWH, where they've been acquiring other distilleries that are in distress, that many of them have not done things properly. And so they're angry investors, and there's missing money. Like, they kind of get them into a big scrape. And so that by 2019, there's almost nobody of the original Lark people involved with AWH. There are a bunch of serious fraud investigations on. It's like $10 to $20 million missing. And it leads to a big battle at the board level. And new leadership comes and takes control and starts to try and make things right. Try to get investors properly compensated, sort things out, bring other money in. They also renamed the company back to Lark Distilling. So sort of focus on their origins a bit more. The Overeem distillery actually goes back to the Overeem family. Casey's daughter takes it over. But they still are battling with quantity. And so having now invested or taking control of a bunch of different distilleries or having relationships with them, including Nant and Sutherland's Cove and so forth, it leads to this particular whiskey, or this line anyway, what they call Symphony. So Symphony is actually, as much as Bill Clark founded Lark on the basis of why isn't there single malt whiskey in Australia, this is a blend. And it's a blend of Tasmanian whiskeys. And they started these in 2020. And they've made a bunch of different versions. And the label color changes each year. This is the gray label. And it's a blend of a bunch of different Tasmanian whiskeys. The belief is that this particular version is made from Bothwell, Nant, and Overeem. Each are aged about 5 to 6 years. Some are finished in bourbon casks, some in sherry casks, some in port casks. The 2020 editions of these have gotten really precious and can sell for more than $1,000. This particular one I picked up at a little liquor store not far from the apartment we were renting when we were in Coolangatta for 160 Australian for a 500 ml bottle, which is pretty pricey. That's about 100 US for, a bottle. Is
that like half
a third smaller? Well, normally there's 750s, right? So we're about a third down. This should be, it would make sense that at a 750, this would be $150 US.
Yeah.
And I have not tasted it. But this is award winning. This is literally won for Australia's best blended malt in 2025.
So he's tasting it now, ladies and gentlemen, the first time.
First taste.
Yes.
Well, okay. So the nose is super gentle, right? There's not a lot of alcohol smell. This is only 40%. It's quite low for a whiskey in general. Got a little bit of heat in it, but fruity. It's interesting. It's almost complicated. Like there's too many flavors in there. They don't talk about how much of this is just grain spirit, but this is considered a blended malt. So there may not be any grain in this at all. This might be all purely single malts put together. So this is good. It's tasty, right? It's an interesting whiskey. It's expensive.
It's
for
really
what it
expensive.
is.
Yeah.
Right, quite expensive. But that's pretty common with Australian whiskeys. One of the problems that Australian whiskeys have is that their excise taxes are very high. And for small producers, that's extremely difficult, right? Like we talk about in some cases, a 750 has a $30 excise tax on it. So they pretty much have to be in the hundreds of dollars for that to even make sense. Where typically in America, a bourbon excise tax is like $5. So they're spending a lot on that. Although now, since about 2016, the Australian government has done refunds for small producers up to a certain amount to try and reduce that tax burden. But they're still trying to restructure all of this. So as much as this is an interesting whiskey and it is definitely a blend, it's kind of gotten away from the origin story, but it's about all that's left of Lark Distilling. This original vision that Bill Lark has had is kind of gone. It's no longer Lark Distillery. It is the House of Lark. And what it is a relationship with all these Tasmanian distilleries, including their own, to compose their own types of whiskey. If you're going to really pursue a single malt, you might want to look at Sullivan's Cove or Hellier or a couple of the others that are there as well. Lark is trying to play the Godfather game to some degree, but with a different entity that's maybe trying to be a Diageo, but hasn't gone as far as that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about make me an offer I can't refuse.
Yeah. I mean, Bill Lark is without a doubt, he's the first person from the Southern Hemisphere to be put into the Whiskey Hall of Fame in Scotland.
Oh, that's interesting.
And by everybody's measure, a nice man.
Nice.
But maybe not a businessman. And so his business kind of got away from him. And, for his own needs, he had to move away. And the folks that took it over have put it into an interesting situation. Maybe they're trying to right the ship.
Yeah,
this is an interesting whiskey, and it's a taste of Tasmania while not being what you'd consider a classic whiskey of any kind.
Yeah. Very good. Tasmanian Symphony No. 1.
There you go. For 2025, the gray label version.
The gray label.
So I think that'll probably get drank over Christmas. It's
a beautiful bottle.
We'll find a way. It's a gorgeous bottle, isn't it? It's deliberately the flask look,
the glass
that sort of
flask.
flat. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
A nice aesthetic. But I always worry about aesthetics because that means maybe the product inside's not as good.
They spent all the money on the glass.
They spent some money on the glass.
That explains why my Louis XIV was so expensive.
Okay. Well, there's also a threshold when the cognac's that good and it's a cut crystal bottle, you're going to pay a bundle.
I saved the Baccarat bottle. I'll be putting cheap.
Where you remember that Gvint 20 I had out of Moldova?
Yeah.
Which I don't know that I'd go there today. Like that was maybe $100 for what would have been a $2,000 bottle of cognac because they just make good product and they don't spend the money.
And you put that in the Louis XIV flat bottle. And
there you are, right?
Yeah.
Like that to me is the fun of this. Is that often we find great things made with people with far less pretense.
Yeah, and
I would argue this is the most pretentious Tasmanian whiskey you could possibly imagine. For a place that otherwise is completely unpretentious.
I love
House
Tassie.
of Lark. Like, where are you that you think that's a good idea?
I love Tassie. That's it's funny. They're on roughly the same latitude as we are, and they feel very much like Northern California in some ways, and they have kind of that nice, relaxed feel. I felt right at home there. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir, Mr. Richard Campbell, native New Zealander, blessing us now with his presence in Northern America. He is out of British Columbia, where he is at Mad Park for the holiday season. Paul Thurrott is in beautiful Pennsylvania, and he's very happy about it. You call this your Beavis and Butthead moment, and
I couldn't get that thing over my head, and my daughter was like, "Oh my God, I've never seen you look this sad."
You look so sad.
My son just walked over and hugged me. I was like, I'm like, I can't continue. I can't do this.
He bought
anymore.
a child's poncho, and his head is too big.
Yep, it's like my head's too big.
Paul Thurrott is at Thurrott.com. You'll find his books at leanpub.com. Richard Campbell is at runasradio.com. That's where you'll find his podcast, RunAs Radio, and .NET Rocks. And they join us normally. If this weren't Abbey Road, they'd be joining us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific.
Wait till you hear the solo stuff, man. We're not done yet.
The outtakes are so good.
The outtakes,
1900 UTC. You can watch us live in the Club Twit Discord. We love
Leo wants to play his own songs. Can you believe it?
He keeps having Lisa come in. And
yeah, exactly. Just sitting over there in the corner like a weirdo. What's with the chick?
What was I? Now it's all gone out of my head. Oh yeah. So, if you're in the club, please watch us in the Discord. Otherwise, YouTube, Twitch, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Kick. But that's only if you want to watch live. After the fact, you can download shows and listen at your convenience. We have audio and video at our website, twit.tv/WW. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to Windows Weekly. And of course, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast client and get it automatically the minute it's available. I believe that concludes the penultimate episode of the year. The last one we're going to be recording on. Next week, again, we've got a very special Christmas Eve. No, we got nothing. We got a very special Christmas Eve because we won't be here. The following week, we will have our New Year's Eve special episode, and then we will be back live.
If I knew it was New Year's Eve, I would have just worn a little baby diaper thing, and instead of
I liked your Santa beard. It was something. It was festive.
It was a look.
It was a look.
It was warm.
So again, no show the 24th, special show New Year's Eve the 31st, and then we'll be back doing this January 7th. Will you still be in Mad Park, Richard Campbell?
I will be in Mexico. We'll be in Acapulco.
Yeah, you know how to live, man.
Yeah.
Paul, will you be in Kanji or will you be going back?
Yeah, I think we fly to Mexico that Friday, if I remember, and then we're going to see him and.
Yeah, and then they're coming down to Acapulco as well. So you'll get the next one will be the two of us together drinking tequila because that never went wrong ever.
Nice.
Well,
I think we get a little time in Mexico City together, but I'll get back in time to do a show from Med Park before London.
Woohoo!
I'll just be in Mexico the whole time. I'm not going anywhere. So that's going to be that.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to all of the future episodes, and we look forward to all of your having a great holiday. We really appreciate your help, your support, your listening. It makes a big difference to us. We love our club members in the Discord. Thank you for being here, Richard. You flew 200,000 kilometers in the year.
Yeah, 200 days on the road. And,
you could have flown to the moon.
Yeah, a few times over. 20 cities or 20 countries, 60 cities.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. In 1 year. That's remarkable. Well, stay home for a little bit then.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful holiday. If we don't see you before the new year, we'll be right back here on January 7th with a new live episode on Windows Weekly. Take care.